Greetings, this is Warrior King, and the time has come for the lions and the lioness to tell their own story. This is the lion's voice. Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the power to chant. Jah give her the power to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Kwasi Bonsu.
Greetings, this is Ras Sekou. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Ras Sekou said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Yes, Jah people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Alright, listen to me now, people. The lion roar, no dog bark. See? The lion's voice with Kwasi Bonsu. Time right now for the lion to tell his story. See? Listen up.
Haile.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's voice. Now put it, I Jalifa said that.
Yeah, now the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. Yeah, the one them called Celestial I represent for the mighty lion voice. And this a shook up your planet tectonic. As me sip up my roots and tectonic. And you can't make me jump nor get panic. Have the engine a run like mechanic. Room.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Oh, yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Tell the people about embarrassment. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, but to the coming while we stand tall, I will shower you
lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, that light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound. So even when the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, to the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start mal, but they see their city streets them flood, when the hurricane blow down our wall, I'll be by your side and me now budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your light was a lifeline. I think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. They say hurt people, maybe that's why Babylon them so evil. Maybe Babylon abused as a child. That's why them no like the light when you smile. That's why them no like how your body curve. The way how you dance get on Babylon nerve. Them no know how the Almighty you serve. Want to be a queen, so a king you deserve.
What do you have to tell the people about Ras Tafari?
Light to the world. The king of kings and the conquering line of the tribe of Judah. I left himself. Where's rightful ruler? Hey yo! Yeah. Hear them high, hear the black king born the 23rd of July. So tell them guy who praise God up in the sky, it's a lie. The Almighty living on your night. From ancient time them a try. Them Romans know them just open them suit and ties. Criminals ain't got no alibi, they stole my people. Then them comes without them genocide.
Are you talking about slavery?
Them couldn't kill the lion where come conquer Judah tribe. Go through tribulation, and I strive, see sufferation, and I still rise. That's why we tell them in America, live Rastafari in every ghetto area. We come to tell them in a Toronto, straight at
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bonsu, aka Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Voice Live special edition, the Reading Ras on the Frontline, our monthly program with the legendary book publisher Ras Sekou Tafari. Family, forgive I see the item beat me up in the comments. We were late today. I was actually doing the episode and realized that there was a malfunction. It wasn't on INI side. We looked through everything, checked out, but for some reason it was not streaming through to YouTube. And the reason I know this is because of the Lion Pride. I was looking at the viewers and I said 0. And I said, no, man, I know I have some faithful Lion Pride that would be here by now, something wrong. And then when I look in the comments, I saw an error message, and then I pull up on my phone and saw that it wasn't streaming to YouTube. So forgive I for those who have been waiting patiently for this classic episode. I didn't even tell the item that we have a special guest tonight, Royal. Because our elder is so esteemed, he was able to get one of the authors of the books to grace us tonight. Big author who busy, the schedule locked, but because it was a Lion Voice network, she said, you know what, let me clear something off of the schedule. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Royal, our very own Sister Aisha, who has been here a couple times. If you haven't seen her episode, she's a former Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture for the Virgin Islands. She has her own nonprofit that she's running right now for women and children in the VI. She's doing major things. She's part of the RMO ITAL certification subcommittee, doing major work. But she has a children's book, and that's one of our books of the month. Remember, I want everyone take out their ATM card. Go to dfrontline.com. I'm going to pull up the website shortly. And as we go through this episode, we're buying books. We're supporting our book publisher. The same way I champion my platform and I want people to become monthly subscribers, is the same way I champion my elder platform. Frontline Books, one of our first official sponsors. We want the dollar to circulate. So on these monthly episodes for the Lion Pride, we're asking, save up your money every month, $10, $20 that would go to something, and we're building our Trueberry. We're building our line because the internet can crash anytime. An electronic pulse, a solar flare, power down, Wi-Fi, the towers them down. Where's your knowledge? You have to have a Trueberry. You see my Trueberry, part of it. I have many more books, but you see part of it behind all of these books are Rastafari. I bought His Majesty, by the way. I am the reading Ras, okay? All right, we established that. All right, so what we are going to do today is, again, welcome our great elder, Ras Sekou Tafari. It's been some time. We have not had an episode since I returned from Ghana, so powerful. Before I bring forward the elder, I wanted to just share very quickly some footage from the RMO relief efforts. We are raising funds for the hurricane relief. We cannot forget our brethren and sisters in Jamaica. I showed this footage on Wednesday for those who watch Wednesday. This was a pot being bubbled by Ras Simba of House of Dread, who's one of the members of the RMO relief team, and every strong ones are going out to the affected areas. Family, it looks like a nuclear bomb went off in Jamaica. I'm telling them the truth. You know what I mean? It's terrible. So I just want to show what it looks like of the vehicles and the equipment. It's not a lot right now. We're raising the money so we can scale the efforts, but there are a few vehicles that have been going out, water, and trust me, the people are grateful because the situation, we've never seen anything like this. Even ones who lived through Gilbert are telling this is much worse, just in terms. So Rastafari relief, rebuild, rise. If you can support, big up Ras Roots, one of our great Lion Pride and Patreon members who has already contributed to the effort. If you can, this is where the INT come in. For those who are new, if you're new to the platform, welcome. You're on the Lion Voice Network. But one of the things that we do with our Lion Pride is we are action people. So the whole power is to aggregate capital. When we can put our $5, $10 together across the thousands, that's when we now demonstrate power. And that's what I really want to leave everyone on this channel with, this great message of collective security. We can come together and we can do a lot with a little. We don't have to come to the table with $10,000 or $1,000 or even $100, $5 and $10 increments, and we can build a nation. Trust me. but we have to do it together, and it has to be us in our thousands. So same way, we want to see 57,000 of the subscribers in the Lion Pride buy one book from Ras Sekou. If 57,000 people bought one book from Frontline Books, that's over $500,000 in sales that we have routed with one sale from an individual. So this is the power that we have. We're changing mindset on this platform because we are in the condition we are in because we allow ourselves to be in that condition, not because we don't have the tools to become wealthy and prosperous as a people. You know what I mean? We have all the tools we need. But I'm not gonna be long-winded because we were late regardless. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the reason was, it wasn't I and I fault. We were timely. The technology let us down, but we were late. So I'm not gonna be long-winded today. Big up all of the Lion Pride. Big up Natty Dread Free Skater who has returned to the Lion Pride on Patreon. One thing I can tell you about my monthly subscribers, when they drop off, I don't see them. They return, you know what I mean? And that's how I know that we are building something special. We have our town hall meeting tomorrow. And I'm encouraging you, if you're looking for a community of like-minded, serious people who want to shift the culture, who recognize the times we're living in, the Armageddon, and who are diligently getting their own skills together and preparing tomorrow. We're going to be talking about branding and marketing again, because I'm a firm believer, whatever your product or your service, you need to have it on the web. You need to be making money while you sleep. You know what I mean? There's no reason right now that I and I are not supposed to be setting up ourselves to be prosperous. We have access to the global family. You know what I mean? Back in the day, for me to get on a platform like this, we'd have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get access to the same type of audience. Now we can do it. I'm in my house, seated up with my children, my queen, you know what I mean, safe and sound. And I'm here being able to talk to a global audience. We can't not use these tools, family. So we're talking about it in the Lion Pride on Patreon. If you want to join, we're going to be doing consultations. We're doing a lot more in terms of getting people up to speed with where they need to be in terms of commerce, trade, economics, because the time is dread right now, and you have to have money so you can move your family from place of disaster. You don't want to be one of the people depending on government kindness or NGO kindness. Big up all of them ones there too, but we want to be in a place of economic security that we can move when the time comes. So that's what we're about in the Lion Pride on Patreon tomorrow. We're gathering, we're going to reason, special guests coming in, and we're going to continue. All right, let me bring forward our panel today. You know that this is the Reading Ras on the Frontline, and when we say Frontline, we're talking about Frontline Books and Publishing. So help us to welcome our elder, the wise mind, the man who has impacted generations of Rastafari and Pan-African people around the globe. Historic and magnificent, you know what I mean, in his splendor, and we are blessed to have him here, the great Ras Sekou Tafari. Blessings, elder. How's everything with the eye?
Everything is level, man. Just I find the song a bit kind of mustard, a little bit.
Yes.
But other than that, we good. We slow here. So usually we on the up at the bookstore, but we couldn't make it to the bookstore because a lot of snow.
Okay, you have snow there.
Yes, a lot of snow in Chicago. Yeah. At least
wow.
Expecting between 6 and 14 inches.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, we give thanks that you're with us, and we're gonna bring forward another co-host, the beautiful, the royal, the magnificent, the great Sister Aisha, Diana Collingwood. Greetings, royal greetings.
Yes, sir. Greetings, blessings. How is everyone doing? Irie, so good to see, and in being such gracious company, I give thanks.
Yeah,
Yes,
greetings,
yes.
Sister Aisha, Sister Diana.
Yes, sir.
Greetings,
Yes.
greetings to see
Okay.
you and to have you
Same
as
way.
part of our team.
Yes.
Thanks. Just thanks.
And just to show you how mighty our elder Sekou is, because he's my elder, but he's also Sister Aisha's elder too. You know what I mean? And one of the things I know, because even right now I'm in trouble because we don't fix up Ras Sekou microphone. Sister Aisha go and call me and say we need to get Sekou mic together. You know what I mean? So I am in trouble already. But our elder is an elder to Sister Aisha. Just quickly, Sister Aisha, tell the people your relationship to our elder, Ras Sekou. How you know Ras Sekou?
Well, I've known this brethren. Well, I did the math. About 48 years now, Ras Sekou. I was I was born in Trinidad and I grew up in Trinidad. And the truth is that as a young Rastafari sister, I was like 13 or so. And I met Sekou. He was an elder who was going to university and had aspirations, like excellence, pursuing excellence from a Selassie perspective. And that inspired my journey in life and set the standard, And here we are today. We kept in touch all these times. I was inspired by his writings. Back then, he had the School Times magazine, right, Sekou? School Times, Rastafari Speak. And for decades, the brother was talking about owning the autobiography of the Emperor Haile Selassie. And just to see, you vision something and you work towards it and it materialize, that's been my inspiration in life, and recognizing that things don't just happen in one take, it'll take time to build, sometimes decades. So I just want to urge I out there to just keep on the trot, consistent efforts over time lead to success. Don't be afraid to work hard. Hard work does pay off, Yes, I
Yeah.
give thanks.
Hard work and smart work.
And Ras Sekou, tell us your first memories of our royal Sister Aisha.
Yes, she was. I remember. Sister Aisha. She was going to Bishop, which is one of the most, one of the very much prominent high schools for girls in Trinidad, and I was taking the maxi taxi every morning. I would take the maxi taxi to go to school to get the lecture. So I noticed her, and she noticed me, and we just started to communicate. And then when we started to communicate, I realized that we had some things in common. One of the things we had in common was that so people were in the Virgin Islands, specifically St. Croix, and my father was in St. Croix in the 60s. My father and my brother who just passed was in St. Croix in the mid 60s, and my sister is still there, and I have since then put my sister on to her, and they keep in touch. She looks out for my sister, who is also a much a senior, and so that was our first name. Then I realized that she was a brilliant young sister, and she had aspirations. She said her name was Aisha, which I respect. And at that time, there's not too many people who would show off their Babylon name. So even though she still has a Babylon name, but she took on the name Aisha. And we keep in touch. Eventually, she left. Probably, I think, was in third form or thereabout to go to St. Croix. I think her father and mother came and get her. Probably she was doing too much Rastafari business and so on. And but we kept in touch, and all the time over the years, we lost touch. When I was in the UK, I just came back from Cuba and went to the UK, and we lose touch for a minute. I never she wrote a letter, and I never got the letter. It was mailed. But after that, when I came, I eventually reached back out to her, and we started communicating. Well, at that time, she was now a proud mother of five, last two twins, and girls. So, but I I reached out to her. But before that, I would also put this in Croy and carry the papers. We ship papers to St. Croix, Rastafari speak that is. We would ship the papers to St. Croix, and they would receive it and sell it, and they would send back money to us. And then one I visited my sister. I was making a Caribbean movement move, so I eventually went to St. Croix, and I met her family, brothers, and Kawuna, which is the older brother, and a couple of the other sisters, and so on. So so it's a long, it's like a family. She's family. I can't say it's like family. She is family at this point in time. And I love my we went and visited my one of my sons. When I visited, and when he was teaching there for Teacher America, he was in Miami, in her county, Dade County, which he was, I think, one of the supervisors in her county. She, she made sure and look out for him, and so on. And so we are glad to have her as part of the family, to be part of our family.
Yes. Stick up in. Is there any way? Stick up in. Is there any way that we can get you on a different phone, because there's a lot of feedback? It sounds like you're underwater, or like it's a mechanical kind of. Do you have a young person in the
I'm not sure if the number is got it, because after last night they were going to switch the number.
Okay. What about I saw a young person. I saw a young person in the background. Can you borrow that young person's phone, and we send it to that young person's number? See, because the mic is bad, and I see one of the comments said that his mic sounds underwater robot with white noise crackle feedback.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you from early.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's because of my phone. You're not getting the same thing with Aisha.
No, it's definitely the iPhone. It's definitely, because this has been a regular with this segment. So
I'm not sure if my other phone is working, because they just told me they're going to switch the numbers yesterday.
Okay, no, but what about the young person? I know that you've been trying to deal with it.
Let me ask.
Yes, ask and see, and then we will sort it out. Forgive I and I family, but we're working it out. In the meantime, what I want to do is talk about the coronation. Today's theme is the coronation, although we do have the iBook as well. Were you forward in America? Yes, you were in America for the coronation. What has the coronation meant to the Sister Aisha growing up and during this liberty? What has this time of year meant to the eye?
Well, November 2nd, Selassie Coronation Day, is actually my Earth Strong. So every year. So as Rastafari, it's like I was telling someone just the other day, it's like I was born to be Rastafari, and it really, so the Emperor and Empress Menen really guide my pathway, my footsteps, in the sense of aspiring to realize my true potential, for excellence, and really just manifesting excellence and just doing the best I can do using the skills Jah give me, lots of them, and developing those skills and the kind of networks I've had. I've been fortunate to know people like Ras Sekou on my life,
Yes.
I've just been blessed in that regard. I've always wanted to teach, and that's what I did. I teach. I teach agriculture. That was my foundation, and just stepping it up. I'm a teacher now, then I'm a lead teacher, then I'm a department chair, then you're assistant principal, you're the principal, you just keep, progressing, and that's been my journey. And even this book was an inspiration from the Brethren Sekou to actually pen my own book.
Okay.
And really taking knowledge from the back, from the past, and bringing it forward to make a positive future. And the book is all about everything, all the pieces of life that could make us successful. This book has a piece, a splice of it all. And I'm really excited about being able to present this to the youth, the next generation, to inspire excellence in them same way, you know?
Yes, and while we are waiting for our elder to fix his situation, let's talk about this book. We're going to give some bonus time. We'll hear from the elder on the book, but we have the author. I am the reading Ras, so why not go deep into the content? Talk to us about the I book and the whole vibration of why the I created this book.
Well, you know, for decades, I was an agriculture teacher. That's how I started my career, you know, teaching agriculture. And the book is about the boy who loved plants. You know, it really explores the role of the extended family, the concept of a village to raise a child, you know, multi-generational impact, you know, from hearing stories from your uncle and your grandparents and what the mom learned from the grandparents and the role of parental engagement, you know. I always felt as a mother myself that I am the primary person responsible for educating my child. And the school is the secondary entity, you know. So getting back to the role, I'm playing a critical role in educating and influencing our child to support their formal education, you know. Because what is
Yes.
education is not just what you learn from the books, it's what you learn from life and from history and from experiences. And our history is so rich, you know, it's so rich, and we have all those skills to teach our youth them. The book kind of lends on like social emotional intelligence of this youth because of the experiences. It expands his horizon and his capacity and confidence to share knowledge in the school setting. You know, the knowledge he learned, indigenous knowledge he learned from his family, you know, that he can go in school and share it now. And now it's like a scientific lesson, you know, and that's important to see that the things we take for granted that we learn from our grandparents, that's science and technology there. And sometimes we forego that knowledge as insignificant. But the truth is that that's our foundation. So as we move forward and gain new knowledge, it's really critical that we do like the Sankofa bird and look back and fetch what's behind us. And with my book is a special dedication and thanks to see the Sankofa bird. You see there, that's on the dedication page, education page. And it's many thanks to
Hold it
my
up again there.
grandparents.
Hold it up again. Okay. Yes. Yes.
You see good? I'm not going the right way. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
it
We
right
see
there,
it. We
right?
see it. We see it.
Yeah. So they've given many thanks to my grandparents, parents, siblings, soulmate, children, grandchildren, a legion of agriculture students, and to you for your inspiration and support because life, you know, has inspired this book, The Boy Who Loved Plants. I can go is about, and the artwork is impeccable. I have like
Yes.
the best local artist, Siobhan Miles. She did an
Okay.
amazing book with amazing job with the art, you know. For years, I've had this book. I'm looking for the right artist. I interviewed people all over the Caribbean, at the universities, and trying to find the right creature. And I found the
Okay.
right creature. I
Hold it up
can't
again.
draw.
Hold it up. Show us an example again. Hold it up. Okay. Nice.
Some of the art, right? It has some really historic type vibes, you know. You know, it talks about a boy who loved plants, you know, his favorite plant is the hibiscus flower, which is an amazing flower in itself. He learned, you know, he lives on a tropical island. So he sees a lot of environmental things, you know. He sees the flower and wonder what can be done with the flower. You know, he sees the hummingbird and he wonders, what is that bird? You see the bird? At least, and I can do better than that. See?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he learns, you know, from just science. Do you know this concept? I know a lot of Caribbean people as a youth. I had one of these. You can see this.
Mm-hmm.
They call it a sec. It's like when you roll this rim all over the island. I used to run along playing with that a lot when I was young. So he picks flowers for his mom and he takes it home, you know, and then again, the concept of mom, parents, He has a yard to rake, you know, his dad is waiting for him to rake the leaves. So talking about those type of responsibilities for youth, you know, just life and love. Um, and then he talks to his dad about the bird he saw, the hummingbird. And then now his dad have him look up the meaning of hummingbird in an encyclopedia. So most youth today don't know what an encyclopedia is. So I
Okay.
wanted to bring that concept back. Although his father has a laptop, his father directed him to use the encyclopedia to figure out what the hummingbird. And did you know that the hummingbird, it makes a humming sound because it actually moves its wings 70 times per second. And
Wow.
that's why it looks like it's not moving. And this type of information is here. It's like you're reading the book, but you're learning facts that you can apply in an educational setting. You know, um, his favorite place to go is his uncle Len's fruit farm, tropical fruit farm. You know, so you know he talks to his uncle, who's a Rasta man, of course, and he goes visit him on the farm, and he really respects and he learns a lot from his uncle about the flower because
Okay.
and the cross regional reference, everyone in the Caribbean and even in South America and in Africa and Ghana, everywhere, they're familiar with this plant and the flower. As a young girl, I did a lot of fun things with the flower, you know. I used to eat the yellow, it's the pollen, but I used to eat it, call it cheese. We used to take the petals and turn the base, break the base off and blow it. You have to practice and work on it, but you could literally blow into it and it expands like a balloon and you could actually pop it and it makes a soft pop. But that's time spent sitting in a tree and trying to do that for a long time and see that patience, that the young people, they don't have that as much of the experience of being out in the environment. And we want to encourage them to explore the environment again and get back to or come again to appreciating the natural vibes out there. You know, that's really critical, you know. And that's one of the things this book teaches young people to kind of be patient and to utilize the resources around them. Because I know I know that everything someone needs to succeed, especially I, is within us and around us. You know, we have been blessed because of the rich heritage. You know, I know we've been through a lot as people, but the truth is that our culture is so rich, and the knowledge we have of our environment is so critical. And we need to continue sharing that knowledge with the youth, them, because that would be their success. That would be their saving grace. Is how they could utilize the resources from the environment that could build them academically, economically, and just their wholeness, you know, spiritually, you know, and that's really critical to me. But things like there's a part of the flower I used to stick on my nose, and then there was a long tube, and you know, you're learning all these things about the flower. I know Jamaicans, they use the petals to clean their shoe. They call it shoe polish, and they shine their black school shoes. I didn't know that growing up, but I learned that from talking to my brother and sister from Jamaica. Also, you use it as a tea, the hibiscus
What?
flower.
Yeah, the hibiscus flower. I was gonna say what flower? Okay.
Yeah, hibiscus. You can use it as a tea as well. It reduces blood pressure, you know. It also can be used as a conditioner. A lot of products, shampoos have hibiscus in it. And if you actually mix the hibiscus with aloe vera, you can actually make a shampoo that's very good for dreads and is really a good conditioner. Makes straight hair nice and curly and dark, and it's a really good product, you know. So there's a lot of uses for the plant, and the young man learns all of these, and he's so excited about everything he has learned, you know. They can use it to polish the shoe. He learned all these things about the flower, right? So he's so excited. And like a lot of young people do, he takes it to school for show and tell, you know. And the teacher in this book, her name is Miss Clinton, because my elementary school teacher in Trinidad, her name is Miss Clinton. I was able to actually send her a copy of this book for her 82nd birthday last year.
Oh
She lives in
wow.
Fort Lauderdale, and we still communicate. As a matter of fact, my New Government class of 1976, we have a group chat that goes ding, 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 ding many times a day. And the whole class, we're always scattered across the world. a lot of us in Trinidad too, but we still communicate on a regular basis.
That's when you
And it's
know a
really
teacher had
inspiring.
impact. That's when you know a teacher had impact, when the
Yes, yes,
class
yes.
is communicating, how many years
Decades
later.
and decades later. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And that's what inspired me to go into education too. And this is like a classroom setting, and all these are memories from my childhood. Um, and that's what the book's about. So he goes to school now to share what he learned about the flower with his friends. It so happened in class today, they're reviewing their lesson from yesterday, which was the parts of the plant and the function of each part. So in the book, it goes over the function of the plant, like the flowers, the leaves, the stem, the roots. And the students talk about, the function of the roots is to transfer water up through the plant. And then it also anchors the plant, things like that. Or the function of the stem is to transport sugars from the top of the plant down through the plant, or to transport the water from the roots all the way to the top of the plant. And they're speaking about these scientific aspects. So that's the learning curve for students too. And she actually was so excited about him bringing the flowers to school that she had him go to the front of the school and pick enough flowers for the entire class. And so they review everything about the plant, and then Benji is his name. The young man name is Benjamin Moses, and he teaches the class everything he has learned about the hibiscus flower. And they're all excited. So now the teacher tells them, let's go to today's lesson. Take out your science book, and your lesson for today is this: the perfect flower. The scientific perfect flower is actually the hibiscus flower. That's a sample of the perfect flower. So now all the parts, all the fun things he learned from his uncle and what he learned from his extended family is really the scientific parts of the flower: the petal, the sepal, the pollen, the style, the ovary. The ovary is the part you actually stick on your nose, and the long tube that sticks out is the style. So these are the scientific parts of the flower. So now when he goes through this whole process, the learning now is concrete. Everything he learned will something he learned forever, because he had the fun part he learned from his extended family. Now he's bringing it to school. He's teaching what he learned, and now he knows the scientific part of the perfect flower. And all that together just makes it the perfect experience for him, because now he knows that for life. And that's part of science. So even when you're in college, you have to know the perfect flower as well. And it's just that lesson is amazing. But the most exciting thing about the book to me is the fact that now he's leaving to go home from school, and he's so excited because he's wondering what else can he do with the other plants and flowers in the environment? What kind of juices, how he can prosper economically, how he can prosper from a scientific or research perspective, because in our environment there's just so much, and is opening young people's mind and heart to appreciating the gifts of Jah, that he provided for us. For so long, we have ignored these things in our environment and gone to pursue other things. And in life, and the way how the world has changed is coming full circle. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing, the most valuable thing you can do or have is land and resources and natural resources, so you can create more things. So we're talking about value added product development. You have a mango. Now you can take that mango and make mango juice. You could preserve the mango. You could, make mango leather by drying it out. I mean, there's so much you can do. So it forces young people to see the economic value of the environment around them and how they can benefit, not just economically, but educationally, scientifically, based on their health and nutrition as well. So it just expands their mind and their thinking. And that's what, makes me excited about this book.
Yes. And the main character, what's the main character's name again?
His name is Benjamin
Benji.
Moses.
Is,
Benjamin Moses.
can this be a recurring character?
Yes, actually, thank you for that. It's planned on being a series. It's intended to be a series where Benji will continue to explore his environment. So, at the end of the book, it says, It says, read more about Benji's new adventures as he continues to explore his tropical environment. So the idea is that one day Benji will go to Kazi and he would experience Kazi in
Wow,
Ghana
nice.
and be able to communicate what that experience is. Or he might have other experiences relative to water or
Yes,
wildlife or
yes.
forestry or soil
And
or
each book
worms,
is
you
a
know.
lesson. Each book is like a lesson
Exactly. That's the
encapsulated.
intention. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get a lifelong educator to write a children's book. You're gonna get a
Yes.
lesson involved. That is
Yes.
so
Yes.
brilliant.
Yes.
So brilliant. Immediately I'm thinking about cartoon. I'm thinking about Benji the Blockbuster film.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the video game.
Yes, for sure.
You see
Yes.
how
Yes. Yes.
you see how because you have created a valuable piece of IP now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's how we
For
have to
sure.
think. That's how we need to be thinking
And
now.
that's yeah, and more importantly, that's how we have to teach the youth them to think.
Yes,
And we have
yes.
to start early. We can't wait too late. We have to start early because I know they're geniuses and we have to manifest that true potential in them. And before they get jaded by society, we have to capture them when their imagination is running rampant, and channel that into areas of knowledge that we know can benefit them futuristically, because the time is now. Now is when we prepare them. We don't wait. We don't leave it up to them to educate them. We teach them the knowledge that we have that we can pass on. And it's never, it's always so critical. I'm always amazed that I actually thought about using the Sankofa bird because, after going to Ghana and and seeing and everything kind of full circle, we're talking about food sovereignty, the concept of each one of us having the knowledge of how and where to access food, our own food, not the grocery store, but either we know a farmer and we're supporting that farmer in growing food for us to eat, or we are growing our own food, we're exchanging seeds, we understand the value of all this process as opposed to thinking of food just going to the big corporations. We have to
Exactly.
take charge of our food, and this is a step in that direction. And educating our youth, that's the power. What they say, he who who has the food rules. He who owns the food, who grows the food, who have access to the food, that's who rules. When I was young, they used to say, he who has the gold rules, but you can't eat gold, and even with gold, you still have to buy food or get food. And the quality of food you get in the store is just of no comparison. It's actually taking away our lives as opposed to the food we get directly from the earth that we can grow for ourselves. So food is actually power. And we need to re-educate our youth then, because in our times, they discourage us from considering food as our power. And they teach us everything else and remove us from engaging in producing or bringing forth food. And that's our strength. No matter how rich you are, how technologically savvy you are, if you have to go to somebody else to give you your food, you have to really trust that person, because with all the bioengineering and all the GMO and all the chemicals and fertilizers they are inputting in the food, is not guaranteed to be healthy for you. So that's all the disease and sickness we have. So we got to educate the youth them differently. And that's my vision. That's my work for the rest of the journey in my life, is to inspire and empower the youth so that they can be successful. And food is a big part of that.
What a joy. I really give thanks to know that because we need that, we need that. We need the food to be where it is. We need to be thinking, and the Lion Pride will know that this is going to be one of the main focus areas that we're going to be keep on drilling on this platform is food sovereignty,
Yes.
because we know food, even in what's happened in Jamaica with the hurricane, food, we're just at the beginning of a major food crisis, because where the hurricane hit was the bread basket, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. These are the bread baskets of Jamaica. And a lot of our Rastafari farmers in particular were located in St. Elizabeth, and
Yes.
farms, Trelawney as well, completely wiped out. It wiped food out of the ground. So
Yes.
we're in a race with time right now to get the farmers back up to speed. But it's bringing this consciousness within us that we can have the most rhetoric. You know, you can have the most philosophy about divinity, about this, that, and the other. But if you cannot eat food, it means nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
but yes. Yes.
so I love that you have created a book and let us show the book. I love that you've created a book and strategically, because you didn't have red, gold, and green and the Lion of Judah on there, but I'm seeing the little boy with his locks. I'm seeing the Ras in the book, you know, that he goes and he gets the knowledge. So you're creating PR for the Rastafari movement.
Yes, sir.
So you're showing Rastafari in an intellectual, positive light, and that is really the reality, because most Rasses will testify that and yourself included, as a young person, older Ras really shared knowledge with them or kindness with them, which led to them citing up the liberty later in life. So your book is very layered, and it's not beating people over the head to say, this is a lesson, sit down and learn about the parts of a flower. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yes.
you're taking people on a journey with this young man, and they can experience that joy with him. So a parent buying this for their child, and auntie, uncle buying this for their child, you know what I mean? You're really buying an experience for that young person.
And Ras, you know what's really critical? The auntie or uncle or parent who purchases this book for the child, I urge them to read it with the child, because they will have historic knowledge they can share, indigenous knowledge they can share. I'm sure most everyone is familiar with the hibiscus flower. And if you're not, this is an opportunity to learn about the value. Again, it has a lot of value for our best health as well. You know, and you can use it, you know, you can make a tea, you can make a juice, you can use it to make a shampoo, a conditioner, you know, you can play with it. And it's a scientific flower. So there's that value. Is actually available in your stores. You can buy hibiscus tea bags in your store, in the store, you know. So it's that kind of avenue. And again, the concept of being able to add value to any product from our environment and have it shelf stable, you know, where you could sell it, you know. You know, something I didn't mention, I really wanted to big up the Rastafari Mansion organizations and just send love and blessings to my brethren and sister in Jamaica. And just know that, you know, we are working to build capacity to support and to raise funds. And I know things are happening. And I just want to remind everyone that food, again, is premium. And I know we don't have food, but just go ahead, even in Jamaica, start planting now. Today, you know, start planting food, because now in the next few months, you will have that security. You will have some food, you know. Plant the short crops first, but plant the long-term crops too. But a little bit at a time, if each one of us plants something, we will have food in the community. If each household plant a few plants, you know, and diversify. When you got the tomatoes, I got the cucumbers, you got the bananas, I got the plantain, he got the this and that one got the that. Together we got a pot. So, you know, one on one on one. What I know the Ras, there's a brethren here, you know, who says one full the basket, you know, and that's what it takes. You know, that's really critical.
Crucial. And we're seeing now the importance of heirloom seeds,
Yes.
you know, ITAL seeds, seed banks, all of
Yes.
these things that, you know, typically you don't think about. You go to the grocery store, you go market and you buy. But what we found out is that even in the market, the regular farmers are using Miracle Grow, which has glyphosate, which we're now finding out these are cancer causing agents. You know, we're looking at our people and saying, where's all this cancer coming from? You know, old time people never
Food.
used to have all this
Food.
cancer. But now
Right.
we're realizing the chemicals that are being
Yes.
used on the, even if you say you're vegan or you're you know, you're vegetarian and you're buying from the supermarket, there's a good chance that that food has been sprayed
Yes.
chemically with pesticides and fertilizer, because not just the pesticides, it's also the fertilizer that the plant is eating that is also poisonous.
And
So
Ras, sorry,
yes,
but even beyond that, remember they've been doing that, especially in America, and they're doing it more like when we were in Ghana, the farmers were complaining that now the government is encouraging them to use fertilizers and chemicals when they grow food so they can increase their yield.
yes,
Now, and they've quickly realized that once they start doing that and they put the crop on the shelf before when it will last a whole month, now in 3-4 days the food is rotting, and that's a direct result of the addition of the fertilizers and chemicals. So
mm,
it's like counseling our people to go again to what we learned from our people. Our grandparents weren't using chemicals in the food. You know what I mean? Yeah, they were eating pork and beef and they were eating all type of stuff, but everything they were eating was non-chemical, non-fertilized. So as a result, they were able to sustain their good health for a long time. With the chemicals we have, the additives we have in our foods now, that's what's causing a lot of disease amongst our people. So again, we have to put that energy into growing our own food, or at least supporting farmers who are growing the food correctly so that we can have access to food. You gotta know the food you eat. Know that if you're gonna eat animals, know the animals you eat. Don't just eat a strange animal. It's critical. So I'm a
yes,
vegan, by the way, just for the record.
yes, 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 and
But we have consumers who do eat meat, and they need to eat healthy, free range animals that avoid of chemicals, all those hormones that it's just, if you ever look at the industry on a whole scale, the amount of chemicals, because they want to create that perfect product every time. And when you do it organically, some of the food is not going to be all perfect. They're going to have variety. They have ugly fruits. Some of them might be looking a little bit deformed, but the nutritional content is really high. You know what I mean? So nutrition, what they say, nutrient dense food. Not
yes,
all tomatoes are the same. The tomato that's grown with chemicals and the tomato that's grown without chemicals, the one without chemicals has a higher nutrient content than the one that's chemicalized. So you have to consider that. And then the soil that is grown in,
I was
that
just going to
makes
ask.
all the difference. You know what I mean?
Talk to
Yeah.
us about the importance of good soil and microbes in the soil, and the soil by itself is a whole. I've been learning a lot about this. The soil by
Yes.
itself is a whole science. Talk to us about the
The whole
importance of
is
soil.
chemistry, it's all chemistry. Now, remember, for decades, for over hundreds of years, they've been adding all these chemicals to the soil. So now, the soil that we have, I'm talking about in the US mainland for the most part, right? In other places, the soil that we have cannot grow the quality of food to sustain the populations that we have and the growing population. The only way we can continue to feed the world is if we regenerate soil. So if you look at the future of world agriculture, it requires a lot of soil rebuilding, regeneration, trying to get the soil back to its natural state. And that's like a whole science in itself. And that's why we also need young people to engage in agriculture, because we need all that science and technology, all they're good at, like how you told the Ras to get a youth to help him. I just need the youth them to help because they have a natural
Yes,
inclination to
yes,
this technology. And I
yes,
know they say it's new technology, but that's ancient technology. That's African technology. That's our indigenous technology. All that science and technology they regurgitating now and trying to pretend that it's new technology. And our youths have a natural inclination to use technology. So we got to use that tendency they have to have them help us to regenerate soil and to actually grow food scientifically, but without chemicals. And we need the youth then, and we need to catch them early because by the time they're 13, 14, they lose that interest, that intrinsic, that natural inclination to deal in agriculture. It starts early. Like I'm in agriculture, I've been in agriculture my entire career, but it was mostly because I followed my grandfather, who was an avid agriculturist and he loved Emperor Haile Selassie. He wasn't a Rasta man or nothing, right? But he had a great love and respect for the Emperor Haile Selassie. Actually, the highlight of his life, he would tell you was when the emperor came to Trinidad, and that was, he spoke about that. I've heard about that story most of my life growing up, So that helped me recognize my true potential for excellence. I know all our life we've been told that we're not good enough, we're too black, our nose too big, we whatever, whatever, whatever. But the truth is that no one can discriminate against excellence. Once you are excellence in your own right and you have command of your knowledge field, all of us are different and it's okay. Everybody have a different knowledge, but all of us have a superpower. It's a different power, but we got to find out what that power is. And as an educator, that's always my quest when I work with my students. What's your superpower? They told you you're dumb, but you're not dumb. There's this thing deep in you that you're excellent at. And we got to manifest that. And all of us have that superpower. So it's to have you to recognize from an early age that naturally they're genius. They're genius. And we got to bring out the genius in them and encourage them and give them that confidence to pursue excellence, so they can really manifest their imperial worth and quality to all of our glory,
Yes.
That's a journey.
Give thanks. And I'm hoping our elder Ras Sekou will join us again.
Yes, likewise.
I'm gonna try to reach out. We had some technical difficulties if you're just joining us with his microphone. I was asking, there was a young person I saw in the background, so I was asking, I hope the elder didn't take offense to that. But because we want him to come through very clearly, we couldn't hear what he was saying. And he's always dropping gems. For us. He's a living archive, one of our treasures. I'm so honored to really be in this elder presence. He's the reason I know Sister Aisha, and that I was able to travel to St. Croix based on his recommendation. So I really hope that we can get him forward. But in the meantime, we have one of the preeminent sisters in agriculture here on the Lion Voice Network. She and I shared, a life-changing moment, I would say, at the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute, where we were able to experience heaven on earth together. We lived in that Zion, that vortex. The problem that we have, though, as Rastafari, is that we cannot scale, or we have not yet scaled this, and we cannot sustain that heavenly state, meaning that at a certain point we have to leave and go to work, because we can't just so that manifestation of Zion on earth is when we can live that way, we can earn that way, we can be within that Zionly state, and it just becomes our way of life. We don't have to go into Babylon and then come out to
and it's so simple.
Yes.
It just seems so simple, When we were in Ghana, everything was just so simple, but still so luxurious, still on a high scale. Because that earth is a luxury, When you deal with your environment, it's a luxury, because everything you need, I said, is around you and within you. So, being in an environment at Kwasi in the Volta region, that was a positive. And when you talked about the life-changing experience, I thought you were talking about where we got lost on our way from when we were walking from the waterfall that evening, and we were talking, and we were trotting, and we went the wrong way.
I and Sister Aisha and Sister Hanifa was behind us. And we were in some deep reasoning and take a wrong turn. It was getting late.
Yeah, it was getting late. Going to rain, lightning.
Rain lightly, and we were walking in the village, and if we had continued on that journey, we would have ended up probably miles away from where
Timbuktu. we were so sure we were going right.
Yes, we were so positive. And one of the sister from the village who had a child, she reached out and said, "No, Rasta, you're going the wrong way." And knowing the village and knowing the love that is there, I didn't doubt. And Sister Aisha had to trust because
I had to trust him. But wait, before I can trust him, I said I look at too many African movies. So I was, because the sister wasn't speaking our language. We were
No.
in the middle of the jungle, in the bush, just on a simple track. She was trying to get us to go through the bush over there. And I already saw myself tied up and going to somebody's pot. And it happened at the perfect time because it was soon after we got to Ghana. And
Yeah.
it helped me realize that, we got to trust our people. And you said that, Kwasi, you said, let's trust our sister.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
and that was all. And we trusted. And in no time we went through some shortcuts and then we were on our way again. And I give thanks. And that really helped teach me a lesson, because I was thinking like I was in Babylon. You know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
wasn't thinking like I was in Zion and
Yes.
that the people in Kasi in that region just love Rasta. She couldn't speak language, but she could say Rasta, 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 this way, this way. Because we have a good reputation at Kasi as Rastafari. And I
Exactly.
love that. I love that. I give thanks to that experience.
And
Yes.
that was so. And then the other lesson that we learned, because I was moving fast, because I feel responsible because the person who know the place supposed to. And I'm walking fast to get us forward to the track, and we hear a voice in the distance saying, "I'm an elder, please." Because
Sister Hanifa,
we didn't realize our
because she was,
mama.
yes.
Yes.
She
And
was short and she has short strides, and we were like
tries that
walking fast, and we didn't stop to think.
yes,
And she said something which was important,
we
and
said
that
something, and
paused us, and we had to take some steps.
we
You
took
know,
we
yes,
slowed down because the African way is to ensure everyone is fine. You know,
everyone is fine. Yes, 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 yes. Give
and
thanks.
elders. So these are the lessons that we learn on the ground, and we give thanks. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I want to return to this agricultural discussion while we wait and see if our elder is going to come forward. And we have two other books, but this is one of the authors. This book is being distributed in part by Frontline Books. So I'll have a link down in the description. I had to create a brand new link for this, so I'm going to have to wait till the episode is finished and update the information in the description because I had to just create the link on the fly. We had some technical difficulties if you're just joining us. So we started a little bit late, and then we've had some more technical difficulty with our elder, Ras Sekou. Why you don't see him here on the screen with us? He was here earlier, but we couldn't really hear him clearly. So we're, on the Lion Voice Network, we pivot. We know how to pivot. We know how to work with what we have. You know what I mean? That is the Rastafari way.
That's the Rastafari way.
We have
Nothing is ever wrong. It's
no.
just a change in pace, or we just have to do what we have to do. And
Yeah.
that's as I get ageable now that I'm an elder. I'm an elder.
Official. You're an
Official. I realize that in life, things are just what it is. And we just have to deal with the situation and find solutions. I say there's a problem a minute. And we have to use creative thinking skills and just solve the problem and keep it moving. There's no time for crying and whining. We just have to get the job done and just keep on moving. And we can do that. And we're going to teach the youth then. Don't despair. Take that energy and come up with a solution and address the problem and keep it moving. And life is short, so
And as Rastafari, we have an abundance of riches because even though my elder is not here with us, who is one of the preeminent Rastafari publishers on the planet, I have one of the preeminent Rastafari agriculturalists here with I right now, and our author. So we have an abundance of riches, family. So there's nothing to make I feel ashamed, nothing to make I sad. You know what I mean? Just remember, righteous never fail. We have to love and obey. Go ahead.
But another important key is that as elders or just as humans, we have to bring along other ones, We have to mentor or be the jegna, to others, and that's like my brethren. I can say that he helped to grow me, and that's the same thing or empower me, and I'm working to empower others. So that has to be the journey because it's said that success is still failure unless you prepare a successor. So it's not good enough that I know. We have to share that knowledge And that's how it is. Pass it on and build new capacity in other ones coming up. And that's how we sustain ourselves, you know. And that's what I view as sustainability.
Yes, yes. Okay. He sent me a new number, so hopefully we'll get the elder here shortly. Um, Talk to us about um, you're born in Trinidad. My elders in Trinidad. We have the potential for a war in the Caribbean. All of the signs are looking like there's going to be a war. Trinidad is right there, you know what I mean? And I think what I heard that there was even a threat made to Trinidad that if it kicks off, there will be some retaliation against Trinidad. And we have a large Rastafari community, and I'm going to try to get some of our Trinidad. I'm going to try to get a panel from Trinidad this Wednesday for the live to talk about this topic. But I have two Trinidadian natives here tonight, and I'm very concerned. But I want to keep it with the eye within the agricultural realm. You know what I mean? What does the family in Trinidad need to be doing to prepare agriculturally for the potential? Because war means that the ships are not going to be docking like they usually do. It means the price of food is going to increase. It means that, so in terms of I family in Trinidad, from an agricultural perspective, give us some of your thoughts, things that we need to be doing right now.
That's the next thing. Getting together, coming up with a crew, a little posse, and growing food within that posse. In agriculture, it's really important that we work together. We organize, we centralize, and agriculture is not an individual sport; it's a team sport, and that's where you have most success. So it's linking with one-on-ones and setting up your base. Making sure you have access to a wide variety of food. Somebody's growing the root crops. Somebody got to have the vegetables. Somebody got to have the chickens if that's what you eat. I mean, just have that variety of food within your community and work on that now that we have the capacity. And root crops is good even for storms and even, in disasters like in Jamaica, for example. When you have root crops in the ground, regardless of what happened above, you have food stored below. So things like that, and then the variety of food, that's important. And even opportunities to clean water and how to having that knowledge of what type of natural ways you can purify water or you need to collect water. I mean, Trinidad has a lot of rivers and there's fresh water, but you never know with in these times with warfare, a lot of chemicals are being used. So that's a concern, but I pray that that's not where we are going. It's scary because when I was in elementary school, Venezuela is so close. There's a day trip, a field trip. You go to Venezuela and come back the same day. So I'm just telling you how close.
Wow.
I think the closest distance is like 7 miles or something like that, But the point is that those been our neighbors forever. So although, they're doing what they're doing, it's really disturbing because it's like we're going to be warring with our next door neighbors. And at the end of the day, when when they go back, when they're done with us, we still have to deal with our Venezuelan neighbors, So that's one of the concerns. And I know the people are concerned. And that's a natural expectation. But it seems as though the government is running things. And that is why, as a people, we got to advocate and we have to vote and we got to centralize and organize and have that power force, that front, and we got to work independently of the government, work with the government too, I guess, because you live in the island, but you live in your little piece of land, set yourself up so you can be independent, solar energy, all these things, try to be off the grid, all those type of things. It takes resources and agriculture can get you those resources, as needed.
And what we're seeing, if there is a war and they bomb the electronic grid, then off the grid makes so much sense, So as Rastafari in this Armageddon time, we have to be, we don't want to be reactive. We don't want to be the people that are always responding to a disaster. We want to be prepared so that when the disaster comes, we can be the providers of the aid. It's better to give than to receive. And if we can set ourselves up in a manner call us extreme, call us what you want to call us, but we're thinking about surviving the worst. You know what I mean? If we build from that perspective, because what the system is saying is creating food collectives or food cooperatives. You
Yes.
guys grow the onion, we grow the garlic, and Ras Sekou Tafari.
Aye, aye.
I
This is my new number. But I had no
okay.
contacts in it.
Okay, you hear how
To
the
give
elder
thanks.
crispy. You hear how the elder crispy.
Yeah.
Ha!
We
Yes,
don't panic round here.
Yeah.
We don't panic.
we give
Yes.
thanks. We give thanks.
Yes,
Yes,
I.
sir.
And you know what happened, Raseko? The most I wanted us to focus on the boy who loved plants.
Lovely, lovely,
That is
lovely.
why we had
Yes,
to do the things the way we did it.
yes, I.
We had a deep dive.
Yes, I.
So we really give thanks.
Yeah, man. I love that. I love that.
And we're going to return to that book because I still
Yes,
want to get your thoughts
yes,
on it because this is
yes,
your platform as a
yes,
field marshal.
yes. But,
So tell us about the books that you want to share with us for this episode.
besides the boy who love plants, I wanted to share Ethiopia and the Bible
Okay,
by Professor Eulendorf.
Okay.
okay. Let
Professor
me.
Eulendorf, as we know, he is the one who was authorized to do the autobiography, Volume 1, My
Yes,
Life and Ethiopia Progress, the first formative years of the High Majesty Haile Selassie the First. So he also did this book in terms of referring to Ethiopia and the Bible as a very much uh, intuitive book dealing with historical documentation, showing why the Ethiopian Bible is one of the oldest Bibles in the world. And as the Majesty said, we have the oldest Bible, but he read all the Bible, but he referred to the Bible in any form, whether it's the King James or whatever version. But
yes.
here it is, a beautiful piece, um, Ethiopia and the Bible by Eulendorf, and we think there's a book that you should relate to in terms of being able to deal with the Ethiopian Bible, which we are getting ready as well, probably early in the year, to publish the Ethiopian Bible.
Well, before we go any further, because you had the opportunity to actually meet Ollendorf,
Yes,
for those who are not familiar with who is Edward Ollendorf, because he is one of the seminal figures within this trad in terms of being chosen by His Majesty to translate the autobiography, chose a European brethren. So why is Edward Ollendorf special? Who is he?
well, Edward Yulenov is special basically because he was very much strong in the linguistic department at Oxford University. Um, he was one that he was part of the what you call the Oriental Studies department at
Yes,
Oxford,
yes.
and because of his strong historical roots in terms of translations, in terms of being able to speak Hebrew, being able to speak Amharic, and so on, that is why Their Majesty chose him as the one who, because he knew at all he would do a good job as an academic. Years in academia. I think he was born originally. I think he might have been from Switzerland or either Switzerland or what do you call that place? But however, he's a European, but he is very much trusted by the High Majesty, and that is why the High Majesty trust him with the autobiography, which he did a great job in terms of annotations and so on, noted annotations, and it's the same thing he did with Ethiopian the Bible, showing you how why the Ethiopian Bible is so special to the Ethiopian people and eventually to the world at large, as more and more people getting to know about the Ethiopian Bible.
Yes, because I see on TikTok Western Christians are just really now starting to find out about Ethiopia, and respond to, when people say Christianity is a white man religion. I'm starting to see people say, no, I start to see them bring up Ethiopia,
Yes.
and rightly so.
Yeah.
And the Ethiopian Bible, as ones know, have many more books than
Yeah.
the King James and even the Catholic. Because the
Yes.
Catholic Bible has more books than the King James. The Catholic also includes the Maccabees
Yes.
and some of the other books that are not in the King James. And of course, we know the Maccabees is a rebellion against the Greek uh,
Yes.
rule of Jerusalem. Um, so the Catholic book has that, but the Ethiopian Bible now has the Book of Enoch, the Book of
Exactly.
Light,
The
the Book of
book of
Jubilee.
Enoch,
Yes,
the book of Jubilees.
yes, yes.
Also, it has the Psalm 151. So it's a much more wider book. The one we're going to publish one with 88 books, hopefully
Wow.
in the first quarter of the next year. We want to publish one with 88 books in it, and we have a special that we give to the people, which we're going to talk about it on the Lion Pride closer to the time when it's going to be
Yes,
published.
yes, yes. Reading Ras on the front line. This is our monthly show. We're not going anywhere. So every month we have 3 books. We're asking the Lion Pride to purchase 1 book a month. Just put aside in your budget. I'm gonna pull up the website. I'm just asking again, 1 book a month. Um, Put that in your budget, just the same way like you would support I and I here on the Lion Voice Network. Support our Rastafari publisher. Again, we want to have physical bookstores on the continent, and you can see here, the boy who loves plants, 1897. That's $20. 50,000 people should be buying this book. 50,000 times 20. Do you think that Sister Aisha, with all of the reasoning she has about young people, if she gets 50,000 people to buy the book, you think she's not going to hire some young people in her operation to scale and to do work? So when you empower these authors, these platforms, you're empowering our Rastafari Pan African infrastructure. This is what I want us to realize. If we want to exercise true power, we have to direct the capital. It's not just about the history and we feel good. We have to direct capital, economic power. We have to be able to demonstrate that economic power. So, Ethiopia and the Bible, let me open it up here. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Oh, no, you can't see the website because I didn't
We can
do
see.
this. Hold on 1 second here.
See, we can see.
You can see it?
Yes, sir.
And I just want to note that all the books, this book is $25, but all the books, if you spend $25 and more, you get free shipping. Just it's noted now in the QR code, so you could go in and get free shipping. So you could buy Mama Aisha's book, which is $20, and you could buy another book, small book, and you get free shipping.
Yes, yes. Definitely. We have a comment. Says, let's not forget Haile Selassie was a knight of the British Order of the Garter and other European occult orders, which shows he trusted more Europeans than most of our people. Um, and that's a fact that His Majesty was a part of all of the highest orders within Europe, but not just Europe, Japan, China. And this is what gets us in trouble with the rest of our Pan African family, because they say we love white people too much. But what we have to understand is His Majesty the Almighty over all, you know what I mean, non-partial, the love. And this is why, we respect ones like Edward Ollendorff and Sylvia Pankhurst And because there are Europeans that do great work, there are Chinese people that serve him. There are ones who have their testimony. We are not the only ones we're hailing. There are ones from all races, kindred, and tongue. And this is one of the things I love about Rastafari, is that it's real. It's not
And,
just
and
us in the corner.
you want to remember too, Ras Kwasi,
Yes.
that Their Majesty was one of the early people in the '60s who talk of anti racism.
Yes.
When he say until the color of a man's skin, so so he was referring to the whole question of until the color of a man's skin is and the color of a man's eyes, and he's talking about how we should be able to until that day until racism has been depleted from off the earth, until that day we will have war, and it's very factual. So although he dealt with everyone, but he was an African to his heart, and
Yes.
and so dealing with all human beings, to say he loved Europeans more than he loved his African brothers and sisters, I don't think that is correct. But
No.
I would say he dealt with everyone and give every race their respect. Right? He dealt. It wasn't for their Majesty. Um, on behalf of the People's Republic of China, they would not have made it to the UN, because he was pushing hard for even for the People's Republic of China to
Yeah.
make it into the UN, and they did, and they became, when they eventually got a seat on the council, Security Council. So the High Majesty he spoke to everyone, and he referred to everyone. He dealt with people with a balance, and that is what I need to take from him. Some of the things we need to take from him in terms of lessons, we always look and try to obtain the balance, the balance. So Their Majesty was not partial. He dealt with all ones, but he mainly dealt and defended the African race, fighting against colonialism and neo-colonialism to the fullest.
Yes. And I
Ras
think,
Sekou, I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, what that shows to me is that, all like I said before, they always tell us that we're not good enough. But I have to realize that we are at least as good as everyone, every other race, and definitely above standard. And a lot of times we don't recognize that because of the role they have put us in for so long. And the Imperial Majesty really show us our global excellence, how we can match up with anywhere in the world. We are, and I think that's what's the important lesson to learn from that, is that he respected them, but he commanded their respect as well, and
I
he
love
was
it.
the
I love
Imperial
that,
one, and
Sister
that was the
Aisha.
king.
I
So
love that, because I love the idea of you saying he commanded a respect,
yes,
because there's a difference between commanding respect and demanding respect.
yes, sir. Yes.
Demanding respect is being selfish.
Mhm.
Commanding respect, it takes a different level of honor. So I love the idea of the High Majesty commanding that respect on the global level, from the League of Nations to the United Nations.
With
Yes.
excellence, they don't give them a choice. You just
And and
demonstrate
and, and
excellence, and
they
they have to follow.
Yeah, and those nations had to present excellence when His Majesty came into
Yes,
their
sir.
all of
Presence.
them, they paraded the best of their best.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
we were able as black people to see how worthy we were because of how they treated I and I father as an African at a
Yes,
time when the rest of the Africans were being subjugated. His Majesty
yes,
opened that veil to show us, no, he have the power that when he come, you make sure your military is there with them both shine. You make
yes,
sure that you bring out all of your aristocrats. Everybody come out to see him, and when they see him, you know what they do? They bow their head. You know what I
yes,
mean? And
yes,
they hail him, and we saw that as African people, and that
yes,
empower the African people around the world
yes, yes,
to say, one of the main moments of that was at Kennedy's funeral when
yes,
all the heads of states were there around the coffin and they had to go behind His Majesty.
yes,
Dick Gregory, he talks about that. He said that's when we found out who the most powerful man on the
That's
world
right.
on the planet was,
yes,
because
yes,
we know that, and Sister Aisha can speak to this as a former government official,
Yes.
protocol has to be negotiated. Nothing is happenstance at those high level events in terms of seating, where you're situated. You know, the protocol officers meet weeks before to map out, to talk about who's going to do this first, who's going to do that. All of that is negotiated. So the fact that a black man in 1960, before the Civil Rights Act was passed,
1963,
given the highest, you know, to that visual cue. Speak to that, Sister Aisha, please.
I know it, you know, even though I was from Trinidad and we grew up poor, I knew that based on my work ethic, I could achieve any height I desire to, just based on what the example was set by His Imperial Majesty. I always used to say, I am of imperial quality. I'll give you a quick example. I went to Ghana in 2001 and was a high-level USDA tour, you know, expedition. And we went to visit the King of Kumasi in his castle, in his, you know, in his space. And, you know, in these times, you know, he went to school in England, in the UK, so he spoke English very well. But the protocol required that we speak through his translator, who spoke to another translator, who then spoke to him. And then we had to go to bow before the king. So it was my turn to go bow. And I don't know what, but I looked at him in his eyes pleasantly. I smiled and I said, I too am royalty, so you must also bow. And I said that, you know, I looked at him, he looked at me in his eye, and there was a pause. And everybody was like, oh, freaking out. But then he smiled, and then we both bowed because, you know, I know my imperial quality, and he's a king, but I'm also a queen. And as Rastafari people, it was really empowering for me as a youth to think of myself, you know, regardless of who. You know, I'm natural, I have dreads, I don't do makeup, I'm not the prettiest girl in the room, I'm not all of those things. But I've learned they can discriminate against my accent, my dreads, my Rastafarianism, you know, everything. But excellence, everybody wants to be on a winning team. And we can bring excellence every time if that's our intent, you know, and we have the capacity. So just having the Imperial Majesty as a guide through my lifetime, it inspired me to reach the higher heights. And I'm still learning and still growing, and education is still occurring. And I give thanks to Brother Sekou because he forever, always, every day, each day, all day long, all the time, he shares with me information, knowledge, videos, just stuff. So I'm always reading and learning and growing, you know, and even being part of the ITIL standard certification, working with Rastafari globally with such skill sets like Kadawami knife and, you know, Iola and the brethren, you know, Kwasi and, you know, just all this strength, you know, and some powerful sister too, Sister Cheryl, and all these people is really inspiring. And I feel as if I have it's like a new vision. It's like I live my whole life as Rastafari, but doing work for Babylon. But now, for the rest of my life, my journey is to really empower Rastafari youth and have them manifest that excellence so we can all rise, you know?
Yes.
We can all rise.
Yes, and
powerful.
Let me give my own testimony, because on our journey to Ghana, we on our way to Kazi, we stopped to visit two elder brethren, you know, who are farmers and, you know, who have been in Ghana. These are community leaders, you know, and respected brethren in the community. And we went into their place, and I saw these two gray beard men when they saw Sister Aisha turn into children. And they said, Miss Collingwood, is that you, Miss Collingwood? To find out that these two esteemed elders were students of Sister Aisha, you know, because she looks so young. You know, we forget that, you know, she is an elder. And, you know, I told her that this is the biggest flex in terms of showing people who she is, you know, because she's so humble. She's just moving around like she's regular. And these brethren gave the testimony of how she changed their life. They were bad boys when they were young, and, you know, for them to see a Rastafari teacher, you know, in their school, you know what I mean, it had such an impact on them as young youths, you know what I mean, that, you know, they find themselves now in Ghana, West Africa, living repatriation, doing the work. And they had no idea that their teacher, who was the Rastafari teacher, would appear on their property, just early on a Thursday morning.
Inspect.
Yes, yes. So just to show, the levels, when Sister Aisha talks about the excellence, and from the moment I met her, that has been her chant. You know what I mean? Excellence and youth engagement. If I had 2 words or 3 words to describe Sister Aisha, those would be the 2 words that I would reference: excellence and youth engagement. And she's been consistent on those things, and she doesn't ramp, you know what I mean? So we're very honored. And Ras Sekou is her elder, and he's
And she's special. Remember, she's very special because she born on the Coronation Day.
Yes, we
Yeah, so
went
we have to say we had to wish her happy belated Earth Strong. You know, but she's special. November 2nd is special to the High Majesty. It's special to all of us as Rastafari. So we always remember not only the coronation, but I also remember Sister Aisha as when it comes to the second. This is Earth Strong, and we need to lift her up as higher than we could higher have the skies, she's a special person, giving her best in terms of excellence. She holds on to excellence. I must say, she holds on to excellence. She don't play. She don't ramp when it comes to excellence.
No. When she met I, she did a background check to make sure I was who I said I was, and I passed the background check. So I give thanks for that. You know what I mean? But just to show the levels, because people don't, we have access to certain elders that you wouldn't see on interviews regularly. I don't know if people understand the value of the people that we bring to this platform in terms of the knowledge that they have. These are people who are recognized in their professions outside of Rastafari. And I mean, Ras Sekou is a legend in the Pan-African world. We don't have to touch Rastafari. Sister Aisha is, a top agriculturalist in the United States, former government official, high-level government works, outside of Rastafari. But they are Rastafari, and it speaks to the quality that we have within Rastafari right now. We don't lack anything. And this is what I want us to just keep drilling into our mind. We lack nothing in Rastafari. What we need now is just to connect and to move our dollars among each other. I can't stress that enough. And so I'm asking ones, I want at least 1,000 people who watch this video to buy the book, to buy these books, to buy Ethiopia and the Bible. This book here being offered. You can go to dfrontline.com right now, and I want people to also purchase The Boy Who Loved Plants, also available on the front line right now. Let us move our capital, family. $20, $30. We should be saving this every month, so when our elder comes on, 50,000 people go to the website and purchase. I know I might have to get to 1 million subscribers for that to happen, but I'm going to keep on saying it until I see it happen, because I really believe in the power of crowdfunding, of collective security, because I think that's the only way we're going to be able to rapidly scale our Rastafari vision, is the 1-1 cocoa full basket, every mickle make a muckle type of thing. None of us have big money to put down, but we have a $5, a $10, and if 1,000 of us put that, we move the needle. We move the needle. And my 2 buzzwords. Let me see in the comment section who was original Lion Pride. What are my 2 buzzwords on the channel? Let me see if anybody can put in the comments what my buzzwords are before we go on to the next book. Let me see if anybody knows what are my 2 words on this channel. Put them in the comment section, Lion Pride, because I have 2 words that I'm working with. If I'm in a group reasoning and I don't hear these two words within a reasonable amount of time, I leave the group and I don't come back because there is not a serious group. You understand? So let me know in the comment section what are the two words. In the meantime, let me look at some of the comments. Um, it says Lagos Sad says, can we admit to ourselves that the early Rastafarians were possibly idealistically reductionist due to lack of education about the international geopolitics relating to Selassie, who was a West ally? I'm about to dismantle that argument, but I'm gonna let my elder, Ras Sekou, address that. This comment of His Majesty being a Western ally solely, and let me just be clear, because he was an ally of the West. That's unquestionable. But he was also ally of the East. You heard the elder say he advocated for China to get into the United Nations. I had the son of his foreign minister, Ketema Yefuru. You can watch that interview on my channel. And he says how upset that made the West that Ethiopia was advocating for China, that infuriated the West, in fact, that Ethiopia was standing up for China's entry into the United Nations. That was not, if he was a vassal of the West or a puppet of the West, he would not have that ability. The Assab Dam, which was created by the Soviet Union, is also another example that His Majesty was non-aligned. So East and West, he was an ally of all the nations of the earth, played a part in the development and the building of Ethiopia. But Ras Sekou, how do you respond to this as one who knew the elders? And there's some truth in this in terms of the limit of education. But how do you respond to this comment here in terms of the early Rastafari? And we don't say Rastafarians on this channel. We say Rastafari because we are his children called by his name. The early Rastafari were possibly idealistically reductionistic due to the lack of education about international geopolitics relating His Majesty. How would you respond to that comment, Ras Sekou?
First and foremost, I want to say I thought the early Rastafari led the way for I and I today. So one thing we must realize that all we ride on their back, we climb on their backs. We climb on the backs of the Bongo Watos and we climb on the backs of of Nathaniel Hibbert, Archibald Dunkley, Robert Hines. We climb on the back of Leonard Percival Howell, right? We walk with them and those ancestors, you know. We walk on the backs of all those who give us the energy, you know, whether it was in terms of seeing what Africa stood for. So in essence, Their Majesty was a man of the world, but he was a man who stood for Africa foremost. So we must not get it twisted in this time. When we talk about the African Union, what we know as the African Union today, previously called the OAU. It was their Majesty along with Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré and others at the time who created the Organization of African Unity, which we now know as the African Union. And it was their Majesty who also was one of the first sponsors of the ANC and the PAC in the African struggle in Azania, what we call South Africa, to liberate South Africa. He trained. He was one of the people who volunteered to train because Ethiopia had a reasonable strong army, and he had the people from the ANC come to Ethiopia and train in guerrilla warfare. In fact, he gave Nelson Mandela his first revolver. So when we talk about alignment with the West, we must be careful of what we see, what we are seeing, because Their Majesty was non-aligned, and non-aligned means he is not for the East, he is not for the West, and he just talk truth and where it represent. So there's a lot of propaganda that was spread about Their Majesty. Their Majesty, he had to deal with his country. He had to deal with educating the young people. He had to send them to places like Russia, the Soviet Union at the time. He had to send them to places like America, Canada, and so on. But when Their Majesty looked and talked about wanted teachers to come to Ethiopia, where did he look? He first looked to America, to the Africans who were born in America, what we call African Americans or Black Americans. He first put out a song and say, You all could come here to work, right? And we'll pay you the same salary as you are getting paid in America. So when we talk about the early elders, the early elders may not have Babylon education as some of us have now, but they had the foresight and the insight and the intuitionness to be able to say that to be clear about um, who their majesty was. Remember, and we must remember, it's not their majesty say he is, it's I and I who say he is, and that is foremost, and for unlettered men and women, man and woman at that time, right? To see that, go back to thousands of years, where in the original books they used to say that man, it is a king. The Ethiopian king is Ethiopian God. We must remember that, right? So these are so-called unlettered people were brilliant people. They were brilliant people, right? For them to be able to have that foresight in terms of what we now look at, and what they're going to come to light as we continue to live, and our generation, as we move forward and another generation come forward, right? So it's not about Their Majesty was pro-West. He was pro people. He was against. One of the main things you must understand and understand really is that Their Majesty was against oppression in every form and any form. Yes? He was against oppression in every form and all forms. So that is the main factor, not about being pro West, because a lot of us, um Africans, and more so Nigerians. I was in school in the UK, and there was a lot of people coming from Nigeria to go to London school, to go to accounting school, to go to different schools, Oriental. So it's not about he was pro West. You had to, when you the head of state, you had to navigate very carefully and very 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 prudent.
Skillfully.
So we salute Their Majesty, and we say Their Majesty was pro Africa more than anything else.
I want to add,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
want to say that no, we always have to pay tribute to our early Rastafari elders, simply because they were oppressed, and in spite of the tough oppression they went through in the early stages, they persevered and they set a strong foundation. And again, what is education? Yes, you can learn from a book, but life in itself is an education, and knowledge comes from all angles, and every skill is needed. So although, I might have gone on to college and have big degrees, and you might have a PhD, it doesn't, the job you do or the skills you have doesn't define who you are. Everyone within Rastafari have a critical role to play, and every skill level is important. So I don't subscribe to the fact that education is in a school or in a certain vibes. You know what I mean? Everyone is educated at their level, and the value they bring is critical to the movement, and everyone has a role to play. So again, we give thanks and pay tribute to the elders. And again, we walk on their shoulders. And the reason I could go on to university was because my elders, who were as wise and smart as I am, didn't have the opportunity because they won't allow them to have the opportunity either. They had other struggles to fight. So now we do what we can do. And each one of us have to manifest each one of our potential. And it will take us in different directions. But we need that skill wherever it takes us.
I want to say one thing, Kwasi, before you jump in. I want to say at all what Sister Aisha, Mama Aisha, Empress Aisha is saying is very crucial because getting education, so-called education at the level of tertiary education, whether you're having a PhD, a MBA, or a bachelor's, and so on, is good. But we need carpenters.
Yes, sir.
We need plumbers.
Yes, sir.
We need electricians, right? So we need all these skill, right? We push our trend sometimes and say, oh, go to university and do this and do that and do the other. But some of these skilled people making more money than people who have bachelor's degrees and who have master's degrees, right? Mechanics, we need that. Look what Africa is producing now. To be able to produce scientists and so on. People who creating their own cars, their own electric cars and so on. So we must say not only we should push our trend and our grand trend and so on, towards the whole idea of getting education in terms of but we must look encouraging to get vocational education as well, or also the fact that having two forms of education. You could have a vocational education and you could also have an academic education and combine, make it you become more stronger in this world as we go forward.
Give thanks, and let's put some context, you know what I mean, because the elders told us about His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie the First. Rastafari is now a global movement. I remember my elder Ras Iris, who passed this year. He said he remembers the time when he knew every Rastafari in Jamaica. He was alive and he knew every brethren and every sister on the island until he lived to see where Rastafari he couldn't count. Every nation he traveled around and he couldn't see. The elders told us that cannabis or ganja was the healing of the nation prior to knowing that there was something called the endocannabinoid system.
Sorry.
And that there was a synergistic system and receptor sites in every human being to receive and to work with the plant. They didn't know that. They told us about plant-based italivity.
Thanks, yes, sir.
Right before, long before there was vegan trend and vegetarian trend and all of this that's happening now, where it's major. Eco-friendly, grounding, barefoot. There's a whole movement now about grounding and the importance of, they call it forest bathing, where you just go among the forest and you decentralize from all of the microwaves and Bluetooth and, the Rastafari elders knew these things intuitively without, and many of them couldn't read, we have to be honest. Many of them could not read because they were not allowed in schools. They were not allowed in schools with their locks. They were beaten, they were brutalized, and they went up to the hills to escape that persecution, but they still knew these things. So, I think the elders have done their role, and we have nothing but praises on this platform for our elders. Where I would put more criticism is the generations that followed. I think we could have done more to work on those shoulders. For example, right now, the only thing I think stopping I&I right now is I&I mindset. Because we have everything that we need. And I'm going to go forward to the comments. The two buzzwords, Sister Denise Richardson has got the correct answer, and it is budget and staff.
Yes, sir.
Budget and staff. If we're not talking about budgets and staffing, we are not having a talk about a sustainable enterprise.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is why I want us to drill these things as Rastafari. You know, it's not just to have the idea and we're doing a thing. We need to think about from a budget, how much is it going to cost us to do
Building
this?
capacity,
And then
yes.
in terms of the staffing, who are the qualified people who are going to execute the work, budget and staff. So I'm glad. Denise Richardson, I feel like you need a prize, but
Yes, sir. Give her
we
a prize.
Yes,
Akash,
yes.
All for
Akash,
it.
We,
big up
we, we,
yourself.
we,
You
we,
said
we,
yes.
we could give her one of the Ethiopian and the Bible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Want to
Send me
give her?
your information, Sister Denisha, and we're gonna get you a prize. We're gonna send me a message and with your information, and we'll send you. We'll make sure that they get a prize because that was so powerful. Akashik, he's our Lion Pride and Pet. Yeah, he said yes. What Denisha said. So the people know what we're dealing with over here, and again, I'm gonna keep beating this into the Lion Pride until we can be that example as the Lion Pride. 57,000 strong right now. We can make a difference if we take action. So I want 1,000 people buy the book. If we can have 1,000 people every episode buy from Frontline, now we are moving the needle. And we can work up to 10,000 and 20,000 and 30,000. But let's start with 1,000. And if we can't do 1,000, let's start with 100, you know, that can purchase a
One.
book from Frontline and even one, but I just want us to get in the habit of spending with each other, circulating the dollar, and investing in what we find valuable. Because if no one is coming to save us, there's no Rasta Jesus coming from the sky. There's no Rasta Superman. There's no Rasta X-Man. You know what I mean? There's only I and I. So we have to do it. So give thanks. I see. Let me read some of the comments here. Even His Majesty did say Ethiopia doesn't create borders to its neighboring nations. The commandment, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. Seen Rastafari, yes. And again, um, His Majesty stood for the black, and this is why EWF I think is so important because it's not an either or, it's a both and. We can love everybody and we can also take care of our own affairs, you know? So we can have the black peoples of the world and it doesn't stop us from loving our white brothers, our Asian brothers, our all of our brothers and sisters from around the world of goodwill.
I want to say something, Ras Kwasi. We can love everyone once they're not down pressers.
Yes.
Right? Once they're not down pressers, right? Once they're for the cause and for the cause of the liberation of African people and oppressed people, oppressed people across the world, we stand for them. You know, we so that is, I think that is very crucial.
Because I think all our in history they felt as if for them to be strong they had to make us weak, and they
Yes.
spent hundreds of years just down pressing us and putting us in the worst circumstance. And in spite of that, we rise. And that just show us how powerful we are. So we just have to manifest that power and know our worth and move forward in his glory because we are who we are, and we are excellent in what we do. So we just have to put aside all that hate and all that oppression. And in spite of that, just manifest ourselves. We are good enough and even better than they said. And we just have to know that. And that I think that makes the difference.
Okay. The Virgin is saying, so Sekou is saying that Selassie wasn't in bed with the down pressers that Rastas chant about. Again, I think the language, I think you're not overstanding international diplomacy. Being in bed would connote that there was a vassal type relationship, meaning a relationship where His Majesty have to do whatever the West tell them to do. And that was not the case. His Majesty worked with all the nations of the earth. And depending on what they had to bring to the table, would determine the extent and the scope of the relationship. So the United States was a superpower. So of course they're going to have more relation with United States than, say, a small country like Jamaica. The scale is completely different. So it's going to be a different scale. USSR, His Majesty had relation with USSR at the same time, and at that time, during the Cold War, you had to choose one side or the other. So right there, that destroys any argument that His Majesty was in bed with anybody, because he was working with both sides. And again, if you don't understand geopolitics, then you would fall for that propaganda that says that he was in bed with the West, not understanding the realities of a king of kings over the whole earth, developing his country according to the resources that were available. When you have a budget and staff situation, and this is the difference between His Majesty and Yeshua the Christ. When you read the New Testament about Yeshua the Christ, you're reading about the Almighty personified, but without that responsibility of governing a nation. Yeshua come in, him go down to the boat, the people follow him to the water, him give them a sermon. Him go up to the hills, them follow him and give them a sermon. Him break the bread and him feed the people, him go to the temple, him kick down the table, him do all of that. You know what I mean? He did not have the responsibility of every Friday make payroll, every, build this school, do that. So it's a different, and this is why we give Yeshua that son title. The son is there, the soul and everything. The father have the responsibility of the family. This is why we look at His Majesty as that father within the divinity, because he had that responsibility of budget and staff, of actually governing, of building, of being measured in terms of the tangible benefits that he was bringing to the people and raising their standard of living. It's a totally different, and when you're doing that, you cannot just be idealistic where, okay, America's evil, I'm not going to deal with America, and I'm going to just, no, you cannot run a country like that. You know what I mean? You have to deal with everyone, and you have to deal. And His Majesty in the autobiography shows you how he had to use America to back off England, who was trying to control him. You know what I mean? So he had to use the major powers who had more resources to destabilize him, to help to balance that power balance. And this is where the research and the study, most critics of His Majesty, like yourself, my brother Lagos, you come and you just look at the surface, and I don't blame the eye. So I give thanks that you're here. This is high level Rastafari reasoning over here. So if you're going to come with the propaganda, you have to come good over here, because peer scholar around here. All right. Ras Sekou.
Yes, sir.
We did a little detour, but sometimes it's good, that we take these detours, because there's a lot of false concept around His Majesty, and that brings us to the final book, which is the Coronation. But before we bring forward the Coronation book, is there anything you wanted to say about Ethiopia and the Bible book?
I just want to add that we have a wrong what do we call take when it comes to the Bible, because the Bible in itself is a universal historic documentation. And when we look at the Bible, whether it is the Greek Bible, whether it is the Jerusalem Bible, whether it is the King James version of the Bible, we look at it, and as our elders were able to go into it and able to see that we as Ethiopian people, we are there in that Bible. We are there in the foundations of the Bible, right? When they talk about Kush, we are there. because Kush is the same as Ethiopia today, right? So Kush, and what we know as Ethiopia today was not yet Ethiopia of yesterday, because Ethiopia of yesterday was a wide range of geographical land, which included what we know as Nubia, which included what we know as Somalia, what we know included know as Punt, and so on, right? The Ethiopians of old used to always say that they are the ones who fathered Kemet, right? And so you must understand. We have to understand that, when somebody like the Queen of Makada at the time,
Yes.
who Makada ruled what from where we call Yemen today to as far as what we call Azania, South Africa today. So we must understand that we are in, when Solomon say we are black but comely, you understand that the history of our people, we must be able to look inside of it, the books, and see ourselves in there, and know that we are historical truths. We are historical truths. Yeah, give thanks.
Give thanks. And I just want to say we welcome criticism and questions here. So I don't want to get, one feel like we're offended. As long as you're respectful, we welcome them because that's how we learn. You know what I mean? So we welcome our Pan African family to ask questions because we are peculiar people. We know we are peculiar, but we welcome. As long as it's respectful, you don't come and come and try this, the king and thing, and you ask questions, we can respond. We're very comfortable going into the history and bringing up the facts that support our argument. Very, very comfortable with that. So, big up yourself, Lagos. We love the comments, and I love it because you're bringing some high level things. You know what I mean? So we give thanks. That being said, anything else that I want to add, Sister Aisha, before we move to the coronation book?
No, I want to quickly, we talk about paying homage to elders. There's
Yeah.
this one elder, Priest Imesley, in
Yeah.
Trinidad, who was really responsible. I've known him for as long as I've known Sekou Tafari as well.
Okay.
And he's still my brethren. And, he's a Bobo Shanti with the group of elders. And I just respect, and the work's still being done. They're working
Yeah.
on the cannabis movement in Trinidad. And that's enough respect. And just to know that these journeys don't happen like this. It's just consistent work over time. So enough respect and give
Yeah.
thanks,
Have you seen his episode on the Lion Voice? Priest
No,
Im-
you have one on Priest Imesley?
Yes.
Oh, let's give thanks. I have to check it out. Yes,
It's very sad. It's powerful because he talks about the loss of his son, and
yes, okay.
yeah,
Yes.
really,
That was,
powerful, very powerful.
yes, I
He's an
give thanks
inspiration
to that.
to the
I'll
light.
look at it.
Yeah, I'll try to send it to the eye
Give thanks.
I can't find it. But yes, Priest Imes, big up yourself anyway you're there. All right, so we're gonna go to the coronation book. Pull up that coronation book. Show them, Ras Sekou.
Yes, the coronation, the grand coronation, and inside is a lot of black and white photos of the actual coronation. And why the coronation is important, we must remember that Their Majesty went back into thousands of years of history to bring together the Empress Menen, and himself, and to have them coronated on the same day. So that was an old Kemetic celebration and honor that went forward to at least 5,000-10,000 years prior to their Majesty. And he decisively decided that he wanted to have their Majesty himself and Empress Menen coronated on that day. They were not coronated at the same time, but they were coronated on the same day, and that shows us on many levels that the balance between the man and the woman, the father, the mother, and then I, as a train of Rastafari, we are part of that balance. So yes, so the coronation, a splendid book. It's 1895. It used to be $20. We now make it 1895, and it has splendid black and white photos. Right, it's like a coffee table book. Ones and ones will make a valuable piece to have in their libraries or the true berries. We won't say libraries anymore.
Hold it up again there, Ras Sekou.
Berries.
Beautiful. I have that book
Yes.
somewhere here, but it's a beautiful book and
It
very
is.
informative.
Yes. So this is it. You see the beauty of the coronation. And it was said that Leonard Percival Howell, the closest we could come to the one who we could say started the founded the Rastafari movement. He just said he was at that coronation. Um,
I spoke to his daughter. His daughter said he wasn't there, but he heard of it. He was in New York at the time,
okay.
according to his
Okay.
daughter.
Well. We have to go with that fact. But
Yes.
he spoke of the coronation. Highly spoke of the coronation, and we therefore must remember the coronation, because when we look at the coronation, we that is a number, a year, 1930. Although Rastafari was prevalent in Jamaica, because you have early documentation on Rastafari, such as the Holy PB, 1924. You have the Royal Parchment Scroll, 1926. But those were forerunners to the Rastafari movement. So, but we look at the coronation, and it is a historical piece that we remember Rastafari from that time as a commencement period. So yes, so extremely great book to have in 101 Drewberry.
Serious. And this was Coronation Month, so we wanted to make sure we had a book that highlights the coronation for November. Every Rastafari family should have that book, should own that book, and every Rastafari family should purchase that book from Frontline Book Publishing. So make sure that you are purchasing your book from a Rastafari publisher. The vision is that we want to have a Frontline physical bookstore in every major African capital. That's my vision. I don't know if Ras Sekou has that
Yes.
of,
Well,
of
our
vision.
we align with that vision. We
Okay,
hope we
okay.
hope we hope we hope by next year we are working on the fact that we would like to set up a publishing or publishing office in Azania,
Yes.
and then later on Kenya. But we definitely think it's important for us, Frontline, to move towards making Africa a reality. The whole question of repatriation, we think is a very important thing. The Majesty said in previous times, Africa awaits its creators. So we definitely want to be part of that historical. You don't want to be left behind. There's a lot of work. We have a lot of work. We want to take books from here, take it to educate the African youths, and we also want to publish works, whether it was dissertations, whether it was theses, master's thesis, and so on. We want to be able to put some of these books, publish them from thesis into book form, because there's a lot. We have a lot of we have a lot of brilliant young men and women in Africa, and we want to be able to be able to put out their works to the African continent. And the whole question of decolonizing the African mind is a very important part of the frontline liberty and the frontline history. That even when we are not here anymore, we want that our youth, whether it's our, don't have to be our children or grandchildren and great grandchildren, because I'm now a great grandfather. I proudly could say I'm now a great grandfather. So we want to be able not only to continue the works, and not only our progeny must be able to continue the works, but this is extended outside of the works of Sekou Tafari. It must go to whoever come, that they may continue the works of their Majesty. And the works frontline must be open for those brilliant minds, young minds, and the beautiful flowers of the earth, Rastafari people, African people, to come forward, even non-African people, if they have the love for Rastafari, and if they have the respect for African people, to come and continue the works of pushing out the works, because for many years it was non Rastafari, non Pan African publishers who were publishing works on Rastafari. Now
Yes.
we have Rastafari people, rather in what different forms, but they're putting out publishing Rastafari works. We have Rastafari writers and so on, Rastafari lecturers, Rastafari lawyers, we have Rastafari doctors, and we have Rastafari agronomists and so on. So we want to continue the work globally, from the west to the east to the north to the south. We have 54 states in Africa, and if we could only do 3, then the young brothers and sisters could come and they could do another 10 or another 20, or complete it all. So we give thanks. So get the coronation, put it in a chewberry, and make sure that we remember their Majesty, one of the great last kings, because after their Majesty, there's none to take that, to uphold that as King of Kings, and King of all kings, and Lord of all lords of Ethiopia, and of African people. So we give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. So,
Ras Kwasi,
yes.
we haven't had a chance for Sekou to give his spin on The Boy Who Loved Plants. Can we have him do that just for the record briefly?
No, that's where we're going. Oh, don't worry.
I thought we were done.
I'm
I
not
give
gonna,
thanks to have the
I'm not
record,
gonna
the
miss that
evidence I can show to my
opportunity.
great grandchildren.
No, I'm not going to let that opportunity pass us.
Give thanks.
This is not amateur. This is the Lion Voice Network. Akashic Records Reggae says His Majesty is so wise he can meet with low heights leaders and know how to deal with them. I agree, 100%. And as Rastafari, we have to know how to deal with all kind of people.
Diplomacy.
We deal with all kind of people. We deal with the bad man, then we deal with the scholars. We deal with all kind of people, and know how to navigate skillfully. You know what I mean? Because that's part of the trad, and it starts at the root with Her Majesty. Bongo Wisely says non-alignment. Big up Bongo Wisely, one of the great elders.
Heal up, Bongo Wisely.
I know a lot family. You know what I mean? Big up yourself. Kadamawi Haile Selassie is more ancient than the word king or even lord, which is true. These are English terminologies. You know what I mean? During the time of His Imperial Majesty, the Persian king also invited the emperor to his coronation. That is true. The Shah of Iran was a controversial figure, and there was actually controversy on that trip because of the protocol. And His Majesty had certain demands, because the Persian king also called himself King of Kings, but His Majesty had to make them know, if you want me there, you have to deal with certain things a certain way and a certain standard. So there was a little diplomatic thing you can search in the history about that as well. And they had to capitulate to get His Majesty there. They had to do what His Majesty asked. You know what I mean? So that is a famous connection. The Ethiopian Ocean is now called the Atlantic Ocean. Very true. There are maps that you can see. with that title. Um, it says, Sin now called India and Pakistan was a part of Ethiopia. In ancient time, they were considered part of Ethiopia. And Ethiopia, we have to know, is a concept. Wherever there was melanated people was considered Ethiopian territory. And His Majesty actually chose that name in keeping the Aksumite kings were the first to take up that name. And the Ethiopians will tell you that the root Ethiopia is a is word, because a lot of people think it come from the Greek, but the Greeks got it from the Ethiopic. And I mean, people have to understand the Greeks are babies. Most of what they learned, their alphabet was from the Phoenicians, African people. The Etruscans, who are African people, are the indigenous people of that land. Kemet is where their scholars learn. So the Greeks, everything when you see in Greek is borrowed, the knowledge from African people.
Could I add something, Ras Kwasi?
Yes, go ahead.
I want to say that what we know, Ethiopia, it was the Ethiopian king, Ganges, who actually founded what we know as India today. And also, when we talk about Ethiopia, there were two Ethiopia. There was Ethiopia, there was Eastern Ethiopia, which was what we now know as India and Pakistan, and there was um, Western Ethiopia, which we know today as it's part today as Ethiopia, but it was larger than what we know today. It was larger than what we now know as Ethiopia today. It was a bigger geographical space. So Western Ethiopia and Eastern Ethiopia, they had a connection. When you look at the Eastern Ethiopians, you have the Davidian people, which is blacker than me, blacker than Sister Aisha, blacker than Ras Kwasi, and it is a long history that we need to look at, because we have more in common than we have apart. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. All right, so that out of the way, let us get to the exciting part now. We have a young Sister Aisha walking to school, and she see this university student who would become a Jegna to her. She would later go on to write a book published by this Jegna to the world, and they would one day find themselves on the fastest growing Rastafari platform on the planet to talk about the same book, The Boy Who Loved Plants. Tell us about this book, my elder Sekou, and why you decided that you wanted to be involved with this project.
You see how I'm holding it up?
Yes.
All right. So you know it's honor and respect all the time, right? So my dear sister, who I know as a teenager, here it is. She has given to the world a special gift as an agronomist, as an agricultural scientist. She took time to pen about a boy who loves plants, because it's very important that our trend take up the idea of agriculture, because without agriculture we can't feed ourselves. The one who feed us calls the shots, right? So here it is, you have a boy who loves plants. How many boys you know are encouraged to love plants? So when Sister Aisha told me she was writing this book, right? I said, beautiful. We have to be part of this book. We had to publish this book. And at the end of the day, I encouraged Sister Aisha because she wanted, I said to her, at the end, you're going to be the publisher. We're going to use Frontline name, going to be there, but you must be the one in control of your book, because You Are My Dear Sister. So the book in itself, well written, I must say, not because she's my sister, not because I know her for as long as I know her, but because it's facts. She has written a document, a book that could encourage young boys and girls, but as specifically boys, about the idea of loving plants. I remember myself as a child, right, in our home, planting things like pigeon peas, what you call gongo beans, planting planting different things like cassava and all the different things in our yard, okra and so on. So here it is. I'm looking at this book here, and well documented and beautiful drawings and beautiful pictures done by an excellent illustrator to combine. So we need books like this. We want to encourage more people to write more books like this. Also, we hope that our sister Aisha will now do the one called The Girls Who Love Plants. You know? So yes, very excellent piece of work. Right? Anybody this could go up against any children's book, whether it's from any of the white publishers. Well documented, well written, and we say bravo to our dear sister for putting out an excellent book. We hope that this book could go all over the world, all especially in Africa and the Caribbean, to encourage our young brothers, preteens, and even those above preteens, to encourage them to know around what agriculture is all about. I mean, I have to salute Sister Aisha, because to take up this field of agriculture, not too many people want to, they want to be academics, but too many people don't want to dirty their hands in terms of the soil. And agriculture, as we know, is started, basically from the study of agronomy and study of the stars, astrology, and that's how, in Kemet they could look and study how many, when the Nile going to overflow its bank, the bank, to know when to plant and when not to plant. So these are the very most foundational things. When you study the sun, you study the stars called Syria and so on. You understand why astrology could fit in with the agronomics and so on. And we must remember that what agriculture is the first culture. Give thanks.
Mighty, mighty. Do you have any questions for your elder, Sister Aisha?
What's the plan for Rastafari Speaks? I
Ah,
just think it's such a
you
valuable.
see, you see how my sister like to put me on the spot, but it's all good. It's all good. We are working, and I want you to be part of the team. I want Brother Kwasi to be part of the team. I want Sister Mitzi to be part of the team. I want Sister Waletti to be part of the team, and all the Rastafari brilliant minds, and the working and the regular people as well. We want to bring forward Rastafari, speak some of all the old issues coming sometime in 2026, and I want us to rally together to start to bring back out Rastafari Speaks as a news zine, not as a newspaper, but as a news zine, to bring it out. And we now have the internet, so it's much more easier. When we were doing Rastafari Speaks over 40 something years ago, we had to cut and paste. Now those days are gone. So we don't have to do all that. We could now go on the internet. Bongo Wisely could send an article from Ayanola, and so on. We could have articles coming from as far as Azania and Ethiopia and Ghana and so on, which we had Rastafari Speaks had cover the globe, but now it's much more easier. So now we plan with the help of the Rastafari community to bring back out Rastafari Speaks so it could be the voice of the Rastafari people. Because what? We need a Rastafari voice. We need a Rastafari organ, a consistent one. So we want to probably start off, and I wouldn't decide that. The committee, when we sit down and we meet and discuss about it, we decide if we're gonna do a start off with a quarterly, probably go from quarterly to twice, once every 2 months, then probably once every month, all depending on the need of and so on. Also, Rastafari Speaks, going to come out also as a journal, published by the School of Sacrament Rastafari University. We should see that as well coming in the first quarter of the year. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. Mighty, mighty, mighty. So you see why budget and staff become so critical, because what he's talking about requires Frontline to really have a budget and a staff to do the work, and we can make it happen. So I don't want us to feel powerless, and hopeless and like we're the victim, because again, 50,000 people giving $10 to or buying one book from Frontline would capitalize the whole operation for a year. You know what I mean? So we have that power, and it doesn't take more than $10-20 from any single individual. We just need to work together and say, okay, we value books, we value having a Rastafari owned publishing entity. We're going to all put our money with Frontline so that they can scale their operation and service the globe. So
I want to say that as a person training in economics and accounting and so on, in addition to budget, we also need to have the whole idea of what you call short term, medium term, and long term planning.
long-term planning, yes.
Yes, that is very crucial for us as African people, as Rastafari people. But we would like to see Rastafari Speaks set up in Tanzania, which now has the largest volume of Rastafari, right? We wanted to at least start off in the Caribbean in terms of Jamaica, the headquarters. But now we have Tanzania, South Africa, has gone past the population. So hopefully, by the time we set up the publishing house in Tanzania, we could also have Rastafari Speaks as a new zine, and also as a podcast to go and align with the Lion Pride.
Yes, we love that, because again, budget and staff, it's gonna take that. Big up Ras Roots with the $5 donation. He says, "Welcome, Ras Sekou and Sister Aisha. Give thanks." And if you full joy and you love what you see, you can also make a donation. There's a dollar sign at the top of the comment section. You can leave us a super chat, $5, $10, whatever you would pay for the price of a cup of coffee, or to get a snack at the store. Or if you're in Virgin Islands, you could pay the price of an ITAL plate, which is $30. I'll take that too, for my VI family. Me know say the item pay a whole heap of money for the ITAL. But support Rastafari independent, non-aligned media in the same way that we're asking for support for Frontline Books. We also need support as a media platform. So consider joining our monthly subscription. We have our town hall meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll be meeting with our monthly subscribers. We network. We have special presentations. We have a good time. You see a lot of the comments. Why the comments are so lively? Because a lot of our Lion Pride on Patreon, they never leave out. They come and they participate, and they really are the backbone. And we're looking for more people to join us. High level, high frequency people, like-minded people who want to see things get done. When we hit 50 people in the Patreon, we're going to start giving monthly grants, micro grants. We're going to pick someone who's doing positive work in the Rastafari community. We'll vote on it in the town hall meetings, and then we'll present them with a little Lion Voice Network kind of award, and they'll get a little stipend and interview and things. So we're really just trying to consider ways that we can share the love, spread the love, use the platform to empower people and to work together to accomplish something. We want to rethink media and how media is done. Imagine a media platform where the audience has a say on what stories are covered and what's prioritized. We're trying to create that type of a media because I think you can only truly be independent if you're funded by your audience. If you're dependent on sponsors, whoever writes the check is who call the shots.
And that is democratic media.
Yes.
Because when it's funded by the people who own it, when it's funded by those who read it, when it's funded by those who decide what is going to be in there. So you don't have what you have in the American media, whereby it's tinted towards the oligarchs and so on.
Yes.
It's very important. Marcus Garvey said the piece for us as people in the media. Marcus Garvey had so many different newspapers, starting off in Costa Rica and so on, a la Nación, from the Black Man, etc. But what we have to learn as Ras Kwasi rightly spoke about and continue to speak about it over the last few years was the question of crowdfunding. Marcus Garvey didn't have what we call social media in his time, but he was able to raise millions of dollars to buy the Black Star Line ship, right? So he was selling Black Star Line stock, right? So if you had 200,000 people buy one stock, right, share in the Black Star Line at $5, 200,000 people buying $5 as I got a share certificate in the Black Star Line. 200,000 by 5. Small mathematics, simple arithmetic, easy $1 million, right? So if Marcus Garvey set that foundation and was able to galvanize the UNIA and the African Community Leagues in 1920, 1919, and so on, I can do it too. And because Marcus Garvey is our great teacher and so on, when their Majesty um, first got coronated, one of the first things he did is set up the printing press, the Bahani press, printing press. So very important. Both foundation, both leaders, both that we follow and uphold, and they saw the importance of having media and media participation. So they don't expect when they cut our dreadlocks, brother, here in New Orleans, don't expect that the media gonna fight for him. It's I media, it's I platforms like Lion Pride and so on, and Rastafari Speaks and so on have to defend that because only Rastafari could defend Rastafari. Give thanks.
That's it. That's it. So I want to give the item an opportunity to just say some final words, Sister Aisha. Give us your final words, final sounds you want people to know about the book. Again, I'm asking, I know most people will watch this on the replay. If you're one of the hundreds that watch this on the replay, take the time and purchase the book. Again, this is Armageddon. We need to be intentional how we're spending our dollars right now. This is not willy-nilly time. We're in a time of great tribulation, and to the extent that we have dollars coming through our hands, yes, we know a lot of it goes right back out to pay bills, but we have to siphon some of it off into our Rastafari Pan African ecosystem. So, buy the book. I know it's gift giving time in Babylon. If you're going to give a gift, send this gift. This is a perfect gift for a niece or a nephew, a son or a daughter. This is one of those gifts that really can have an impact and be life changing. I still remember some of the books I read as a youth that really stayed with and instilling that love of reading with the visuals. And there were books I used to read over and over and over. Can be one of those books. So, Sister Aisha, please just give us some final sounds, and then we'll seal up with our elder as always for this edition of the Reading Ras on the Front Line, Chapter 6. Go ahead.
So this is The Boy Who Loved Plants, and I'm Diana E. Collingwood, Sister Aisha. I'm a Caribbean native, and I'm a passionate advocate for agriculture and environmental literacy. This book aims to remind people of all ages about the daily impact of plants and other natural resources in our environment, and the social, emotional, academic, entrepreneurial, and cultural value of nurturing interests from an early age for lifelong learning and application. It's a powerful book, inspiring book, and I just hope I can have your support on sharing it with the young people in your lives. And again, remember, excellence run things. And we just have to encourage the young people to have that confidence to pursue excellence, Give thanks.
Hold up the book again. Let's see how big it is for scale. So you see it's a nice size book.
Yes.
It could be a coffee table. It could be a coffee table book. It could be a coffee table book as well.
Yes, sir, especially with the lovely art done by Siobhan Miles, a Virgin Islander young lady who is an amazing artist, visual graphic artist, and it works well. It's for ages 6 years and up, 44 pages. It's 8.5 by 11 inches, and it was released in September of 2024.
Give thanks. Mighty, mighty, mighty. All right, Elder Ras Sekou.
Yes,
give us the final words from Frontline.
Well, I want to say it is always a pleasure and a blessing to be on the platform, and it was even more a pleasure to be on the platform with one of my favorite people, Sister Aisha, and for her to share her wise mind and what she has written about the boy who loved plants. I know agriculture is one of her greatest passion. So it is good that how she could take that passion and put it into a book that young people could read. I hope that most people who will watch this program, even when they rebound, could at least get a copy of it. So, for the Xmas holiday, if it's not for the Xmas holiday, then for the Ethiopian Xmas, but they should get a copy of it because it's a very great book that ones may have, along with the other books, Ethiopia and the Bible by Urendorf, and so on, and the Coronation. So it's great. Reading is very much a very important thing that we need to keep up with, right? I thought that all books were dying, and then I saw Barnes and Nobles and so on setting up numerous amount of bookstores across the Chicago area and across the other parts of the U.S. So I know that our books are not dying. We have to we have to uphold the books. We want to encourage our youth. People must have to set up what they call reading clubs, whereby they could read different books, whether it's about the boy who loved plants, whether it's about their majesty or the biography, etc. So reading is power, and we had to challenge our minds and challenge ourselves that we must read more. Try and at least read, I would say, at least 2 books a month. Read at least 2 books a month. For the younger minds, they could probably read 1 book a week, make it 4 books a month. So but reading is important. Read. You got to read something. Read something. Reading is very crucial. Because when you read, you empower your mind. You empower yourself as an African, as a Rastafari, right? So remember that not all the time that our people, Rastafari people, was able to learn to read. No, even on the plantation, one of the things you could lose your life for is for reading. So now you had the power to learn to read. If you do know how to read, you know, um, try to learn how to read. Let somebody teach you how to read. It's basics, because reading is power. What they used to hide a lot of stuff from African people in books. So we say now you have the power to learn to read, and therefore knowledge is power. And knowledge is not just power, but we must be able to use that knowledge to obtain the power that we need to liberate Africa and African people, to liberate the Rastafari nation, so the Rastafari nation could continue to grow and become strong wherever we are. So knowledge is power, reading is power. Give thanks, more love, more life, and continue towards the struggle for the redemption of Africa and African people and the Rastafari nation. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. And there you have it, the legend himself, Ras Sekou Tafari. As a young Ras in university, when I was reading all of these books and coming into the knowledge, I kept seeing frontline books in all of the books that I was reading, and I would come to meet the man who was making it possible in my own life, and it's an honor for me to be able to share him on this platform with the world. When just getting started, he brought forward one of his jegnees. Is that a word? We'll have to find out. He brought forward one of his students who always speaks so highly of him and testifies, and she's also become my big sister as well, and a sister that I value so much. So it just shows you that on this journey you can meet people and build relationships. The sweetness never stops. Her Kingman is also a great musician. We're gonna have to have him on this program as well to
Definitely.
his music as well, so we get to know the families in Rastafari. And she is a mother, and she's done great works. And
And a grandmother.
And a grandmother. She looks so young. I forget all the time, that she's a elder. So, but the point is, family, that we have so much abundance of riches among ourselves. Before we seal up, though, I want to again just remind us that in Jamaica, we are dealing with an unprecedented situation. We have Ras Simba here bubbling a pot. The RMO is doing weekly excursions to bring food and supplies to some of the affected areas. Ras Simba is a member of House of Dread, which is one of the member organizations of the RMO, and they've been doing great work. A lot of this work has been funded out of their pockets. You can see the car loaded up here to go on the mission. So ones are just working with what they have. So we're asking ones. We have the Rastafari Relief, Rebuild, and Rise initiative launched by the RMO. The goal is 500,000 US, because the goal is not to rebuild what was there. The goal is to, once the relief and the rebuilding is there, is to really rethink how we build out these spaces. We have Kwasi in Ghana as an example, but we want to start to send professionals who, an engineer, a surveyor, architects, that can go to the Rastafari sites, and we can do some proper site planning and development. So what we rebuild is sturdy for category 5, but also that we rebuild with some programming that is preparing our people for economic development, for repatriation, We have a clean slate now in Jamaica because everything has been destroyed. So the vision is again not just to rebuild, but to rise, to use this as an opportunity, as a launch pad, a springboard to this new era of repatriation, redemption, fundamental freedom. So I think last time I checked, we had raised 1,000 out of the 500,000. So we still have 499,000 to reach our goal. There's going to be major campaigns. I was on a call, Rastafari TV, Just Jam Magazine, Rastafari Jams, I Never Knew TV. All of the Rastafari Pan African media are coming together. This is going to be massive. It is unprecedented. And Lion Voice Network, as you know, is a main pillar in there. We can't make it pass. We love them thing there. So stay tuned. But if you can contribute, again, the 5, the 10, the 20, I know I have a couple millionaires that watch the platform. If you want to drop a 10,000 US and flex, you can do that. We see the rappers drop 10,000 in a strip club like it's nothing. So we want to see some of our Rastafari Pan-African millionaires drop a 10,000 upon some of these relief efforts, upon some of these platforms, upon a frontline publishing. We want to see some of our heavyweights act heavy. If you want to stay anonymous, we can keep you anonymous. If you want, let the people know your levels, we can do that as well. But give what you can at the level you can. You know what I mean? Wherever you can. But let us be intentional about it because we're in serious times. I was gonna ask you, Ras Sekou, before I leave. I asked Sister Aisha very quickly, with the potential that there may be a strike on Venezuela this coming strong. The indications are looking that way. The eyes are Trinidadian, born and raised. Sister Aisha was saying how close Trinidad and Venezuela are. What is the concern for the eye with the coming war that is potentially looming? And how would you tell your brethren and sisters in Trinidad to prepare?
I would say that this is a very much a stupid war. It's a very stupid war. It's a war built on lies and propaganda by the United Snakes of America. It's a war that the prime minister of Trinidad is encouraging and putting her population in danger. And I would say that Trinidad is just about 7 nautical miles away from the closest point from Venezuela. Trinidad and Venezuela have a lot in common. In fact, I would say historically and geographically, Trinidad was once part of Venezuela. It's just erosion over time, over 500 years period that probably had the break off from Trinidad to Venezuela. But you could tell that Trinidad was part of Venezuela by simple things. Trinidad has a pitch lake. Venezuela has the same. Trinidad, the oil that you find, the petroleum you find in Trinidad is a thick petroleum. Venezuela has the same. The Trinidad has things like tiger cat and so on. You find all those things in Venezuela. You find in Venezuela the same soil that you find in Trinidad is the same soil you find. Trinidad is the only Caribbean island that has that South American soil. So you know for a fact it was once part of Greater Venezuela. And historically, the people have always been close, betrayed over the last few hundred years. So we want to say that this is a war uncalled for. It's built on a lot of lies, similar lies that what the um, the American regime um, used to um, invade Iraq and so on is based on similar lies and similar propaganda. And all the strikes that we have seen going on is basically war crimes being taking place in terms of killing fishermen from Trinidad, fishermen from Venezuela, and people from Colombia. Venezuela is not a narcotic state. It is not, right? If wasn't if America and Europe didn't seize some of the rich, what they call the money, the reserves that they had in European banks and the American banks, you wouldn't have all these people from Venezuela trying to come to America, right? So we must be aware that people don't leave their homeland to just run somewhere. Venezuela is a rich country. It's a very large country as well, right? It's a very large country in the sense that um, Germany and France combined can't even fit into it, is small compared to Venezuela. Venezuela could encompass places like France, Germany, Poland, even Britain. That is to tell you how large. You could say Venezuela is what they call a subcontinent, right? So I am thinking at all, if a man is a dictator, right? Why would he be able to arm over 4 million of his people, right? No dictator would arm 4 million people as a militia. They'll be scared to do that. And Mondoro, the current president, took over from Chauvin in 2012, 2013. He is not a dictator. He won election fair and square, and our former President Carter, who was in there on previous occasion to supervise the election, said that all the elections were fair and square, right? But why um, this present government and previous regimes here in America, they want to invade, they want to invade Venezuela, basically because they want their oil, because Venezuela sits on one of the largest reserves of petroleum in the world. Plus, it has gold, it has water, it has emeralds and a whole lot of other minerals that is there. So it's greed is why they want to go into Venezuela. But I'm saying to the people that they need not to support that war because it's an illegitimate war. It's going to be a war that's going to end up similar as Vietnam. It's going to be a war. If you're going to Venezuela, it's going to be a long haul. It's going to be at least 20, 25, 30 years inside of there because there's a lot of land and America would not be able to those people from the Bolivian Revolution, they would not be able to withstand what is coming out of Venezuela. So, it's basically, we don't want no war. We don't want war. And I know the people of Trinidad, the government, the prime minister, um, is encouraging that whole idea of having the soldiers being trained and with the American, and there's a clause in the government that is, since 1942, 1943, Britain, when it was before under colonialism, had given Chagaramas to America as a base, and not along with other bases like Waterfield and so on. So we say that is something that we don't need no war in Trinidad, but the foreign minister said if America attacks Venezuela, they are going to attack Trinidad. So they need to be mindful of what they're doing and what they're saying because, Venezuela and Trinidad is too close for comfort. So we don't want the war, but this war is, as Mao Zedong used to say, war is war is politics with bloodshed, and politics is war without bloodshed. So you can negotiate because there's room for negotiation in terms of if you want certain things, whether it's the oil usage and so on. But Venezuela is a country that stands for its national. It has nationalized a lot of the resources, and you know you have you have Iran was in there building what do you call helping with the oil, reorganizing the oil refineries. You had Russia also helping in that regard. You had China also helping in terms of telecommunications, etc., and so on. So I'm seeing that this is a war that's going to have many parts because it's going to it could end up being what we could may term World War II. Many facets taking
World
place.
War Three, yes.
World War III. World War III.
And
So
I wanted, because I know you're an encyclopedia, and I know that a lot of I don't watch mainstream news, so I just want to, I know we have a big following in Trinidad, so I want my Trinidad family to take this very serious. Our elder gave us the history, but it's not something that we just irie and business as usual. We need to really be prepared that if the war happens and ships are not coming in and there's not food coming in and being imported, again, this issue of food sovereignty, making sure that the Rasses are planting, that there's a contingency plan. I know they have the All Mansion. I'm going to be reaching out to Bongo Grease and Bongo Jack and some of the members of the All Mansion to see if I can get a Trinidad panel this Wednesday to talk about it. But we have to be proactive. We have to prepare. We cannot take these things that are happening around us lightly in the Armageddon. And as Rastafari, independent, non-aligned media, I feel like I have a responsibility on this platform to sound the alarm, sound the trumpet, so that I can prepare and know that, yes, we are blessed. Yes, we are the sons and daughters, but that doesn't make us exempt from what's happening to everybody else. If there's a war that breaks out, it can be very dangerous. You have disease, you have different things that spread, services break down.
flights going to be affected because the U.S. government already start over the last
Close
month or
the
so.
airspace. Yes, the
Yes,
airspace.
in terms of commercial airspace and so on.
Exactly.
So we have to be very mindful, and I'm glad you raised the topic because it's a very pertinent topic, and we have to be mindful that even in the 21st century, David can still beat Goliath.
Give thanks, give thanks. So there you have it, family. We have gone way over time, but with a panel like this, we really had no choice. They forced me with their intellect. They forced me with their reasoning and their beautiful voice and intonation. I was held in by this esteemed panel. So we are going to continue to bring forward high level, high frequency Rastafari reasoning. Why? Because the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's voice.
This is
Give
why we are
thanks, Ras
king,
Kwasi.
and the
Give
time
thanks,
has
Sister
come for the
Aisha. Give
lions and the
Yes,
thanks.
I
lioness to
give
Give
tell their own
thanks.
thanks.
story.
Yes, sir.
This
Ras
is the lion's
Kwasi,
voice.
Aye, aye.
Sekou.
Give thanks and praise for the wonderful blessing that's been poured on me. Give thanks and praise. Jah use I as an instrument to set the people free. Jah give her the powers to chant. Jah give her the powers to chant. Rastafari, the lion's voice.
This is Mama Thea of Asli Pure, and when I want to hear the story from the lion and the lioness, I listen to Lion Voice with Ras Bonsu.
Greetings, this is Ras Sekou. The time has come for the lions to tell their own story. See? This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir? Ras Sekou said that. Are you satisfied? Wipe those tears from your eyes. I'm all alone, still you thought I was telling a lie. This is the lion's voice. Keep it locked, right, sir?
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega, representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Alright, listen to me now, people. The lion roar, no dog bark. See? The lion's voice with Kwasi Bonsu. Time right now for the lion to tell his story. See? Listen up.
Haile. Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lamb's voice. Now put it, I jolly for say that.
Yeah, now the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. Yeah, the one them called Celestia represent for the mighty lion voice. And this a shook up your planet tectonic. As me sip up my roots and tectonic. And you can't make me jump nor get panic. Have the engine a run like mechanic. Room.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Cushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Yeah, David Dread of Steel Person. I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Oh, yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.